Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for August 13, 2024. We're going to be doing a 2024 fantasy football mock draft tonight. Just waiting on Kenny. He said he's going to be on soon, but I thought I'd just start the stream and do the promos, get them out of the way. So as soon as Kenny comes on, we can just get this started because it's we're coming up close to midnight now. So before we get started, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would be appreciated. As you can see here, we have a ton of shirts. You guys know the deal. Like we have so many shirts here. Our apron got removed. I still have to do that. Just keep getting distracted, but I'll try to do it this week. We'll see if they replace it. So Gluttony t-shirt up to $19.55. It was $17 last week. So I don't know what they're thinking here, making it more expensive during August. I guess there's a high demand for the shirt. I'm just kidding. But anyway, you guys, it's very important to spread the word here. August is Gluttony month. Gluttony rights are human rights. A lot of people disrespect that. A lot of people don't recognize how important this is. It's very imperative that we get the message out that August is Gluttony month. But we are almost halfway through to August anyway. So September is coming up. So there's an equally important September t-shirt that we have to get to, which is Lust Month. I gave this shirt to my father-in-law, and he was wearing it around everywhere, and he was like, "I got some very strange looks from people," and I was like, "Well, at least you guys you'll know who your friends are and who your enemies are." So there's a benefit to that. So Lust Month is coming up. Lust rights are also human rights. Also, super chats, super stickers. This is like the lifeblood of the show because we get no revenue through YouTube ads, just pay nothing. So if you guys want to keep contributing via super chat, super stickers, it'd be really appreciated. Slew, John Sanders, and Germ, you guys recently have been so awesome with your contributions. So any further contributions would be really appreciated. And also Jenanon, Kevin Kovac in the past, like you guys have been so great. So I can't say it enough. It really helps the show out. And if you want to keep the show going, it's a great way to do it. Also, you can get to Amazon and buy my book. It is called Jerks to the College Years. It's $13.99. That price has not changed. I don't think it will change. It's just kind of set in stone there, unless Amazon does something. But you guys, if you guys like Jerks of the Week on the website, you guys will like Jerks of the College Years because it's basically the same thing. I just made fun of people at Penn State rather than people in my neighborhood that I currently see now. So I spent 6 years at Penn State. So I've met some weird people here, as you can see. This guy in the bottom left, he went into my room, he stole my trash can for some reason, and then I never saw my trash can ever again. I don't know what he did with this trash can, but that is what he did. So I don't understand the motivation behind that. Kenny is on. Here we go. Kenny is here. Yes. How are you, Kenny?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Just on Monday nights, Monday nights is Ortiz family Disney night, and so I was with my daughter at Disney World, and so trying to get back, and we have some funny stories anyway, but that's besides the point. But I'm here. Sorry I'm late.
Okay. Are you gonna I sent you the link to this room. So
I'm in it. Claim I'm gonna do the 6th spot.
Okay, the cap is fake. I'm going to send this link out, copy invite link. I'm gonna send it to you guys here first. So I'm gonna give it like a minute, and then I'm gonna tweet it out. So you guys get first dibs on the stream here. So looks like Bagley's in, Kid No Name is in, Bro Brian is in. So Sanders joined. We have 5 spots left. Scary Hours is on. I'll give, like I said, I'll give you a minute, and then I'll tweet it out, and then we can get going. Trump Best is on. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 10 left. So no one wants to.
Are we gonna crash? Is it gonna crash tonight, like some other well-known streams tonight in the world?
Let's hope not. That was frustrating. I was like, is something wrong on my end? Like I can't get to the recording. But
I was in line for Big Thunder Mountain, which is my opinion the most underrated ride at all of Disney World. Anyway. Okay. I was in line for Big Thunder Mountain, and I was trying to watch the Twitter feed, the X feed, of Mr. Elon Musk interviewing Mr. President Donald Trump, and it's just funny whenever people in our society get a whiff a hint of someone who might be a conservative. The facial expressions are quite entertaining. I just gotta say, like, why can't I remember when I was a kid, I remember my dad said to me, as in the words of Michael Jordan, even Republicans buy sneakers. And like I remember my dad's quoting Michael Jordan, just being like, hey, listen, everyone's gonna believe, different people are gonna believe different things. It's fine. Anyway, I just think we live in an interesting day and age. But that's my rant for the day. Back to fantasy football.
All right. Well, actually, I want to hear more about this, but we have a full room, so we can start now. So,
all right, let's go. All right,
let's go. Yes. So we are on. Unlike fantasy football calculator, there's a minute here instead of 45 seconds, so you get a little bit more time. You also get more. You actually get a notification after every pick. So Bijan Robinson, number 1. What are your thoughts on Bijan going first?
I think it's fine. I mean, I think you can make an argument for, a handful of guys. I'm not gonna. I mean, I wouldn't draft Bijan number 1, but I'm not gonna kill it.
Who would you draft 1?
I'm thinking I'm still taking McCaffrey. As we get closer to September, if the injury is more serious, then I would shy away from McCaffrey. But I feel confident he's going to be healthy by September. I wouldn't shy away from taking him at this point.
Yeah. This is so much cleaner. It is. Kenny, we drafted on this on Thursday. It was pretty great, I thought. CeeDee Lamb, number 3, receiver that high. What are your thoughts on Lamb going that high?
If it's hard to argue against Lamb. I'm not going to take a receiver that high. But I think you can make an argument the receiver there, and I think Lamb is as safe as they come. I prefer Justin Jefferson, but Lamb is probably safer. I think Jefferson has more explosive upside. The contract stuff with Lamb, on a scale from 1 to 10, how nervous are you?
Only 1 right now with the contract. I don't care about the contract. You're up. I have more thoughts on Lamb after your pick.
And so I'm gonna go Saquon Barkley here. I get the sense, as I've been looking at, a week ago we did a mock draft and I hadn't really dug into ADP and consensus ranks. It seems like Barkley's going much later than I thought. Like I'm seeing him late first in a lot of ADP. And so I don't know. Maybe are you seeing that as well? Late first, early second, even?
Yeah, I've seen him second. That was earlier in the summer in best ball drafts. I assume that he's going to go earlier in standard drafts because I think receivers are just more favorable in best ball for some reason. I don't do best ball, so I mean maybe you can tell me why, but so I think like late first is probably correct for his ADP at least. I agree with you though. I think he should be going earlier. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he does for Philly what Christian McCaffrey did for the 49ers. So maybe like a slightly lesser extent.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. As far as Lamb is concerned, the contract doesn't bother me yet. It might eventually. What worries me the most, I think, is that Dallas lost 2 of its best offensive linemen this offseason. So I think the offense may not be as productive. So that could mean fewer touchdowns. But I mean, Lamb is still an incredible player. So
right.
All right. So I am up. There's an obvious name on the board that suffered an injury. So I want to wait to draft this guy and see where he goes. But at the same time, I think this injury is being overblown. So I almost want to take him. But I will take A.J. Brown first. A.J. Brown's just an incredible player. And he was, as great as Tyreek Hill was last year, Brown was keeping pace with him. And so, with Saquon there improving the offense even further, I think that Brown could just have an amazing year. The second guy I'm going to take is – I'm going to weigh in this guy. I just want to see where he goes. So the other guy I'm going to draft is, let's see, it's Josh Jacobs. I know you're a big fan of this guy. I'm kind of surprised he's going later than he currently is. I think he's going like mid to late second round. I think he should be going earlier as well. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about the guy who got injured yet. I just want to see where he's drafted before anything. But what are your thoughts on Brown and Jacobs at the turn?
No, I mean, they're great. I mean, I love A.J. Brown. I love Josh Jacobs. They're 2 of the best players at their positions. Yeah, I think that's pretty good value.
Okay, there's the guy who got hurt. He didn't last much longer. Jahmyr Gibbs, hamstring strain. Apparently, it doesn't sound that bad, but hamstrings can linger. It's like soft tissue stuff, but it's August 13th, not August 31st, you know? Right. So, like, if this was August 31st and he suffered a hamstring strain, I'd be more worried. But at this point, I wouldn't be too worried. I would have taken him at 201. I just wanted to see where he went.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the injury at this point at this point of the of the season. So I think people get concerned about things that are. I mean, it's worthy to note it, obviously, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, Leftorium says, I didn't think this is standard, otherwise it's taking a breeze. Yeah, we're doing standard tonight. Not sure what we're doing tomorrow night. We're going to have, I don't want to say which guests we have on just in case the plans might change, but we have guests tomorrow night. Wednesday, I don't think we're doing a show on Wednesday. I have some plans, but to make up for it, we're going to draft on Thursday. I have a guest lined up for Thursday, and then I'm hoping I think we're going to do a show Friday instead of Wednesday this week. Whether that's fantasy draft or not, we'll see. Because Tom might be a guest, but maybe I can talk Tom into Tom doing a mock draft. So we'll see. I know he doesn't do a fantasy year long, but yeah. So you're up on the clock again. What are you doing here at 2:07?
Yeah, I have the guys that I really like here. By the way, I don't know where my timer is. I don't see where the timer is on this.
It's on your pick.
Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay, that makes sense. I'll make sure I don't. So I'm just talking through this, man. We've talked about this in the third round, but I feel like even in the second round, there's a lot of guys here I could go with and feel okay with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel the pressure to take a receiver, but there's not like a big difference between the receivers here and in the next round. And so, but yeah, I guess I have to go receiver here. I feel like it's the most prudent thing. Oh gosh, but I don't love, but I'm going to go Devontae Adams here. The idea that I have to rely on a Raiders player is not exciting. Yeah, I mean, who's going to be playing quarterback for them, come week 4? Who knows? So I don't love this pick, but there's a handful of guys here I can go with, but maybe we can talk about that. There's one other guy I've thought about in this spot here, but he might get traded. I won't say the name yet. So yeah, I think there's question marks. We talked about this last week. You're saying in the third round, you're like, I don't like the third. I'm like, I feel that way kind of like second through fourth.
Yes.
Like I'd rather just have give me a 1 first round pick and 7 5th round picks, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, you can trade down for sure. It's rough drafting in this area. I exactly what you said. It was third round for me, but I was drafting at this range, like at second or third pick, and so it was pretty tough there. And I think it says a lot that it was tough for you with 207. I agree. Like I was looking at my board, I'm like who would I take here? And I didn't really have a clear answer. Like every guy that I would take, I would be like, I think I can get him in the third round and maybe even fourth round. It's really difficult. And that's why I was so adamant that I think we're going to target quarterback early if I'm drafting between 1 and 6, just because there's really nothing. It's just big. This is big, like void really of talent. I don't know where it went. It's very strange.
Never take a quarterback.
Still not doing it, even though you don't like the guys. I think you have to make an adjustment. I know you. This is your philosophy, but I think it's just different this year. There's no talent here. You can get these guys later. Why not just get the better quarterback and take these guys later, and then you can get a sleeper where you usually get your quarterback.
You know what I should do is I should just write an article on my website on how I really believe in the realness of the salary cap. Why don't I just do that? I mean. I might just go against all of my convictions, I guess.
Look, I mean, I've been in the same camp as you. We've had races to see who would be the last person to take a quarterback in our leagues for years. Years, really. We've been in fantasy football leagues for 24 years now. And we're always the last 2 guys drafting quarterbacks. And I just think it's different this year. I really do. I don't know.
If you end up taking a quarterback in the third round of our home league, I won't have to draft a quarterback till round 15. I mean, I know. I just think, but who are you going to get in this late second or third round?
because you're going to be up again. The top guy on my board when you were picking is still there.
Actually, the top guy on my board, the guy I really liked, is actually still there as well. The guy I like a little more than Adams. Funny enough. So,
I think I know who that is. If you draft him, please let me guess before you draft him. Okay. Right. Okay. Kamara's gone.
Okay. I'm going to draft the guy that who do you think it is?
Is it a running back on an AFC South team?
Oh no, he's in the consideration as well. Okay. But there's one other guy who might get traded.
Oh, okay, receiver, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go Ayuk here. It's just too much value in the third round. I seriously think I thought about him instead of Adams in the second round, and probably he is probably a better player. So, like, I don't understand. Like Marvin Harrison Jr., I think he's awesome. Like second round, like you're drafting him at the very high end of his like, Deebo Samuel like could be great, but like what if like that like they trade Ayuk and the offense shifts a bit and like I don't know, like Olave is awesome, but do you really want to rely on Derek Carr as your quarterback? I don't know. Like and Drake London we've talked about. I think he's I don't know. Maybe I don't think
we can do a deep dive on all these guys starting from your pick until my pick, and you can make like there. I think there's a major bear case for every guy who's drafted. Like I was starting with. I mean Adams. I mean Adams has great upside, but he could be traded to New England for all we know. I mean he's also 31. James Cook.
It might be better for him, by the way, if he got traded to New England. I don't know.
I like the Raiders. I like the Raiders a lot, man. This year, I'm telling you. I think I am going 10-7.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Wow. I have found actually one person agree with me. I found one person who's agreed with me so far on the Raiders. All right, so I am up now, and I'm going to take a quarterback because there are no guys I like here. So I'm just going to do it. So Patrick Mahomes is the top quarterback on my list. However, I have AJ Brown, and so I have them like ranked pretty equally. So I'm going to take Jalen Hurts to pair with AJ Brown. My next pick is going to be the top running back left. Now I don't think I'd be shocked if he falls to the end of the fifth round. Maybe not shocked. I mean, I know that people aren't as high on him as some others are, but so I'm going to draft. Let's see if we can find him. James Conner, who I think had a great finish last year. Arizona improved this offensive line. I think that there's a good potential here. I think Arizona is an underrated team. So I know you don't like the Hurts pick, even though he plays for your Philadelphia Eagles. But what are your thoughts here? I've a suspicion that you don't like my picks.
Yeah, I can't. The value for quarterback in the third round is just not there. The math just doesn't work out. I'm also a little nervous about Hurts. He's so reliant on touchdowns. I mean, the tush push, it's still. I'm curious what happens with him and Barkley. Does Barkley end up being the guy? Like, that's a question mark. It's not a negative. It's just, if everything stays the same, then Hurts will be great again. Obviously, with all the touchdowns. But I wonder if Barkley will end up being the goal line guy. It won't take us long to figure that out, right? I mean, we will know a game or two in.
Yeah, we will. I don't know if you saw. I'm sure you saw it in the preseason where the Eagles did the tush push with some backups. So like this is still here, even though Jason Kelsey's gone. Yeah. All right, so you're on the clock now. Which by the way, I love the Waddle pick. I would have taken him if I didn't take Connor. Yeah.
So this is technically the 30. This is the 44th pick of the draft. Was that where I'm at? Is that right? 40.
Yeah, 43rd.
43rd.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a crew of running backs here that I think are now. I'm actually surprised that Alvin Kamara went in the third. I thought he would go to the fourth, so I'm a little surprised by that. I think he's valuable in the third, but I was expecting to try to get him in this place, or Joe Mixon. And so the other guy here, I'm probably drafting him sooner than most people would draft him. But I love Aaron Jones. If he stays healthy, he's a great player, and I think he's underrated. His ADP. I've been seeing him most places is fifth round. I even see him slipping into sixth. ADP's all over the place at this time of year. Who knows what it'll actually be in a month? I kind of think ADP is kind of a farce at this stage of the offseason most of the time. But Like who knows in 3 weeks where he'll be. But I love Aaron Jones, so I'm kind of surprised how far I'm seeing him fall in drafts. Am I missing something? Is he injured?
Well, no, he was injured most of last year. He doesn't have the best injury track record, so that's the only negative with him. But you said it. If he stays healthy, he's gonna be great. I don't think Minnesota run blocks as well as they pass protect. Like that's another thing. But he's really talented. He's going to contribute as a receiver. I like the pick. He was also a consideration for me at 401. It was between Connor, Waddle, and Aaron Jones. Like those are the top 3 guys I had on my board. So. I like the pick quite a bit. I like your team the way it started, but I wanted to get to these players like James, from 207 to 312. James Cook, who I just don't think he's that good. And like in PPR, this would be fine, but it's the standard, and you're not getting any points for his catches. Marvin Harrison Jr. is just a rookie, and you can't rely on Kyler Murray being healthy. Devon Achane, man, he's just going to get 10 carries a game. Yeah, he could break some. In best ball, he's great. But here, not so much. Derrick Henry, Baltimore lost 3 offensive linemen. There's ticking again. This is the only downside of sleeper. I don't know what this ticking came from with John Sanders. Okay, all right. Thank goodness the ticking went away. There's the last one on Thursday when we were drafting, this ticking that started when John was, or rather when someone was left on the clock like 5 seconds ago. There was this ticking that started and just wouldn't go away. So that was annoying. But anyway, Henry the Baltimore lost 3 starting offensive linemen, and Henry's old. I don't like that pick. Debo, I actually like Debo. I think I would have taken him instead of Adams. Because if I orchestrated and McCaffrey's hurt, like he's going to get so much work. So I like that quite a bit. And then you have Josh Allen. I know you don't like quarterbacks, so we'll just ignore that one. Drake London, I know you're not a fan of him, and I like him a little bit more than you do, but I'm not in love with him either. Sam Laporta, tight end. We don't have to get into that. Chris Olave, I think the Saints offense is going to be absolutely dreadful. I love Olave as a talent, but I think the Saints might have the worst offense in the NFL just because their offensive line is so bad. Like they could have the worst blocking in the NFL. I took their under 7.5 wins on I think it was Saturday. It's just watching their blocking in the preseason. And I know that doesn't mean much, but the preseason should be a dog and pony show. They couldn't protect against Arizona's backups. Like it was pathetic. So I think their offense could be awful. Same thing with Kamara. I'm just not going to take Kamara. Ayuk, same thing. Like if he's traded to New England, that's going to be devastating for his fantasy outlook. But if he stays there, that's great. DJ Moore, I think I like him, but rookie quarterback. Joe Mixon, I think is fine, but he was the top player on my board when you were drafting at 207, and he went 308. Rashad White, this is not PPR, so not very exciting. Travis Kelce, he's 34. And Kenneth Walker, I like him a little bit more now, but still, 311 I think is fine for him. But if you're drafting earlier than that, it's not great. So yeah, that's the rundown of these players, and it's just not very exciting. So who do you take here? And that is why I'm going quarterback. I know we had this discussion already, but I'd rather just take the quarterback, take the better quarterback, and get the same sort of players later. It's just my stance.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't think the math works out. I think the value, the difference between Hurts and whoever I get in the 15th round, that gap is smaller than even the subpar running back at this point. I think that's just my. No, of course, it could work out. I mean, you could. Any strategy or approach can work out if you pick the right players and they have good seasons. So I just generally, I don't like it. I've never liked it. And I'm okay with that. We don't it's okay for people to have different strategies and all of them can win. And if everyone's taking quarterback early, all the better for me. The more people who take quarterback early, the more excited I get because it means the later I can wait. It's great. In round 12, I'd have to fight you for one of the guys I like.
It's true. Although, I've seen people take quarterbacks late after taking them early, which I think is very stupid. I wouldn't do that, but other people might. So you never know. Devontae Smith is the pick I liked. I was hoping he wouldn't come back to me because I already had AJ Brown. But you're up. So what are you doing here?
Yeah, man. This is I'm going to take a guy that I don't love, but I'm looking at the rest of the running backs here, and if I don't take one of these guys here, well, I'm going to purposely skip and just to see. Actually, let's wait on that. Let's see. Let's go with Zay Flowers here. I'm going to intentionally. I love Zay Flowers as a talent. Obviously, the system is not pass heavy or pass first with Lamar in there. Maybe it'll change. Who knows? But I love Zay Flowers as a talent. Tank Dell is the other guy I was potentially considering in this spot who just went. And so David Montgomery is one of the running backs that I thought about. You know how much I hate David Montgomery, but there's actually there's actually a few running backs here that I like that I probably in real life would take, but I purposely going to pass just to see how long a couple of these guys last.
Okay. I like the Flowers pick. I like Dell. That was the guy you said you wanted to see where he would go.
No, there's like 3 or 4 running backs here that I wanted to see.
Oh, running backs.
Long
Okay.
last. Yeah.
Okay.
And Montgomery is one of them.
Okay. Yeah, I think Montgomery's a strong pick now just because the Gibbs injury. So I would have taken him at the turn. So I like that pick.
Okay. Trey McBride, by the way, he's the he's the fifth tight end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he's the fifth. Yeah. I said it last week. I'll say it again. I'm convinced there's going to come a time sooner rather than later where Trey McBride's the best tight end in football. I mean, the guy is. I think he's a monster.
I'd agree, except we've just seen Sam Laporta. I think Sam Laporta might have that distinction as well. McLaurin just went, so I am up with 2 picks. So I'm gonna go. Looks like I'm gonna go running back, receiver here. Yeah. So for my receiver, I'm going to pick. Let's see if I can get this up again. So Amari Cooper still. I've yet to draft Amari Cooper. I'm going to take him. I know he's kind of like on the older side now, but he's such a great route runner. I don't think it'll matter. And for my other pick, so going to draft the running back. I was very impressed. Now I said this before that the preseason is a dog and pony show. However, I was really impressed with what I saw from Tony Pollard. Like, it looks like his explosion's back. Like, I was just like looking to see. Well, first of all, I wanted to see the rotation that they had, what he had with Spears. I also wanted to see if he was explosive like he was before, and he wasn't. I don't think he was explosive in 2023. Just like coming off the broken ankle, broken foot, whatever he had. It just wasn't there. Like, it just seemed like he was missing a step, and it looked like he was back. And I know it's a very small sample size, but still. Also, not counting third downs. Like, Spears is on the field for every third down. Not counting third downs. Like, Pollard played most of the first or second down snaps. I think he played like 3/4 or 2/3 or something like that, like 70%ers of first and second down snaps. In the first preseason game, whereas like Spears handled all the third down stuff. I think that definitely has to be a positive for Pollard because like we just didn't know what they were going to do with the 2 running backs, but they paid him a ton of money, and given that he looks like he's back, I think that he's going to have a great year. So I'm happy to take him in 6th
round. What is the thing you speak of preseason? I don't. What is that?
Fair enough. Like I said, it's a dog and pony show. I just wanted to see if he looked explosive, and he did. That was the most important thing. Also, like I said, snap rotation I thought was important. George Pickens is, I think, the receiver I would have drafted if Amari Cooper wasn't there. The one concern with Pickens is that Ayuk might go to Pittsburgh, and if so, that's going to take away Pickens' targets. But at the moment, Pickens he's like by far the top receiver on the team. So Christian Kirk just went. You're up.
I love Christian Kirk. He'd be one of the guys here. One of my favorite players. But okay, the running backs that I was considering, and instead of Zay Flowers, my last pick were David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, and one other guy, Ramondre Stevenson. So I'm going to go Stevenson here. New England's going to suck. That's for sure. Stevenson doesn't have tremendous upside, but he's going to be their primary ball carrier, and they're going to, like every NFL offense every year has a certain number of touchdowns in them. And I would imagine that Stevens is going to be the guy. So Stevenson. So I think as your third running back or your flex, you could do significantly worse. I like him there.
What do you think about this question, Dave, who was on the show last Tuesday? Who is worse, Kenny fantasy football or Biden as president? Biden has Alzheimer's. Not sure Kenny's excuse.
Well, it's clearly Kenny at fantasy football. Clearly.
Dave he's in our league that this league I talked about before. So dang, I was hoping Pollard wouldn't make it back to me. Yeah, I'm higher on Pollard now. Where else reacting in the background? Do you hear that clicking sound?
No, I don't hear clicking sound.
Really? Okay. I don't know. I felt like I was crazy the last time. It's weird that you're not hearing it, but yeah, now I have a permanent clicking sound. So let me know in the chat if you guys share that as well, because there's now a permanent clicking sound. I think I could probably refresh this and be okay, but I don't want to risk it and just like be locked out. Although I guess I'm like still in the fantasy football calculator mindset where, if you just leave the room, you can't get back in for some reason. Like this is so much better. So, we're almost 6 rounds through. What do you think about this sleeper site in comparison to fantasy football calculator?
Oh, it's pretty sleek. I like it. So there's a couple. I'm still trying to get used to like the some of the settings, but yeah, I like it. And I still haven't figured out how to put a queue player in your queue. Oh, I just figured it out. Never mind. There it is.
Yep. Right. It said open a new tab. Let's see. Okay. Maybe, there we go. Let's see. The clicking sound is gone. You're a genius. Who said that? Bagley, open a new tab. Thank you, Bagley. FBI clearly spying on you, Walt. Actually, well, the second book that I wrote, how the 2020 MVP was stolen. Javonte Williams, interesting pick. I want to discuss that in a second. How the 2020 MVP was stolen. My father-in-law read that book, and he's like, well, the FBI is going to come after you, right? I was like, yeah, probably if they read it. So I should probably promote that in the promos. Stolen. So I don't know if you read this book or. But I love the cover here. You have Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. So I don't know if this book is about how Brett Favre stole the MVP from Aaron Rodgers in 2020. True story, by the way. And it's like a documentation. No one ever knows the story. No one's heard the story until you read it. So
you're so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a very fun book to write. All right, so we're in round 7. Javonte Williams, by the way, he got all the first team carries except for third down work in the preseason opener, which was surprising given that he was on the roster bubble as of like 3 months ago. And Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin, who's the two competitors for his job, they were both playing into the third quarter, and Estime fumbled. So, like at one point during this offseason, it looked like Javonte Williams is going to be cut, but now apparently his job is very secure. I don't know what he did to help his job out, but he clearly turned things around. So he actually looked pretty good. But Denver's going to be awful this year. So I don't. As much as I moved up Javonte Williams in my rankings, I still wouldn't draft him in the 6th round just because I just don't want bad running back, or I just don't want running backs in bad teams. Rather, like that's my issue with the Stevenson picks. Like, yeah, he's going to get the workload, but like they're going to be trailing so much that he's not going to have many great games. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to be running out the clock.
No, I don't know. I can be. There are good players on bad teams that score fantasy points.
Well, most of them are receivers because they're always coming back from behind. Like the running backs on bad teams are I just want to avoid that.
I have a feeling that the data doesn't back that up. I smell a new article coming for thecapisfake.com.
All right. Well, I look forward to reading it then. I just think like the logic doesn't dictate that, because if a team is bad, they're usually behind. And if they're behind, they're not running out the clock at the end. And so that running back's not getting a lot of work. You know what I mean? But anyway, you're up, but we can only speculate. At this point.
Okay. So I've got 3 running backs here. There's some injury proneness on my roster here. I got some question marks here. So I feel like I need safety, not a safety, but a safe player. So In that case, I'm going to go with a player who might get suspended. No, I just think the value here. Yeah, I'm looking at all the players of it. I just think the value here is too great for me not to take Jordan Addison in this spot.
I thought it was the other guy. I thought you were taking the other guy who might be suspended.
Oh, maybe him too. Oh, that's two of them.
Draft both of them. Don't draft both of those guys. Maybe take one of them.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, it's funny. Brian Robinson Jr. is the other guy I was thinking about. So he just went one spot after me. So I'm still trying to get a feel for ADP this year. For years, I've said this for a couple of years. ADP on websites, it depends on what site you're using, because so many people just use the default ranks of whatever site you're drafting on. And so ADP can vary so much based on what website you're on.
Mm-hmm.
The ADP on ESPN versus Fantasy Calculator versus Yahoo is going to be so different. So trying to figure out when you're playing with real people and not just mock drafts, where people are going to go. And I feel like I'm just starting to. There are a couple of players that I expected to go later that have gone sooner in this draft. So, I mean, it's insightful. It's why we do mock drafts.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely helps you out a lot. As far as ADP is concerned, I like Fantasy Pros because they take the aggregate. So there's Rashee Rice, to the other guy. I thought you were going to draft him. But yeah, there are two guys who might be suspended. Joe Burrow goes. How many teams don't have a quarterback? Sanders does not. You don't. Trump Best does not. Kid No Name does not. And then Scary Hours does not. All right. So Xavier Worthy, I think a little too early, in my opinion. I don't. Not crazy about him, but I mean the potential's there. Obviously, he's going to be playing with Mahomes, and he's super fast. But I don't know. I feel like he's just a rookie. He's going too early. All right. So I'm up. There's a clash here. My top receiver is a player on the team in which I drafted already, but he would be my looks like my third receiver. So I'm not I still might take him though. And the other guy I'm considering, he has an injury, so this is an issue. So all right, let me pull this up and find the guy I like. I've mentioned Chuba Hubbard a lot. I'm gonna take him here. He's got the job locked up. Like anyone concerned about Jonathan Brooks, like Brooks is not going to even be back until week 4, and he's coming off the torn ACL, so I don't think he's going to get a lot of work. And Hubbard has looked good in training camp. Not that means a lot, but still, I think it's still pretty significant. Just like rather than the alternative. But I'm gonna take the guy. Like I don't like doing this, but there are two receivers here. Like one is injured and the other is clashing here. So I'm gonna take Christian Watson. I love Watson. I love his potential. The clash here is with Josh Jacobs, so not a fan there. But this is the 8th round. It's not like I'm taking them super early. If this is like 2nd and 5th round, like I think that'd be an issue. But 8th round, I think is okay. Like what are your thoughts on that? Like, are you okay with drafting someone in the 8th round that's a clash in like the 2nd round or something?
Yeah, if I think the offense is good enough to support two guys, I'm not. It doesn't make me nervous.
Okay.
Yeah, as you said, if you're drafting back-to-back guys in your 1st or 2nd round or something like that, then yeah, maybe you get a little nervous about it. I actually just wrote Christian Watson down as one of the guys I was going to target with my next pick, so he wouldn't have made it back to you. And so, if you like him, this is the spot to take him.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a fan. I think that the fact that he found out that the hamstring size is the issue this offseason. I think that could be significant. So hopefully that means he's going to stay healthy. We'll see, because he hasn't been able to stay healthy yet in his career. But if he can turn that around, like he's going to have insane potential. And I don't know if you saw the preseason drive that the Packers had. It was just like two plays basically. Actually, it was like 4 plays. It was 2 passes, and one of the passes was a 67-yard bomb to Dontavian Wicks. So it's like, yeah, the Packers could be really scary this year. But I know it's a small sample size, but they were so strong at the end of last year, like
right.
beating the Chiefs, like crushing the Lions, destroying the Cowboys, and almost beating the Niners. Like they look like they're legit. All right, you're up. You're in the 8th round.
Yeah, 8th round here. Maybe it's a little early to take this guy, although his ADP here is 86. So, but I've just heard phenomenal things about Mr. Ladd McConkey. Again, I don't watch a lot of college football, but I just have heard great things about him, and so really excited about him. All the guys who I trust when it comes to scouting say that this guy's the real deal. He's got all the talent to translate quickly to the NFL, and so I'm willing to take my shots with him in the 8th round here.
Yeah, I think McConkey has a lot of potential. If I'm drafting a Charger receiver, it's either him or Palmer. My concern with the Chargers is that Herbert has the plantar fascia, but it's more about his mobility. I think he could still be a good passer, and there's a chance that the Chargers are in a lot of shootouts this year, so that could really benefit McConkey. I was kind of hoping that they would play their starters in the preseason because, like, I know they haven't in the past, but they have a new coach. But yeah, they did not play any starters at all. That was one of the more boring games, Chargers and Seahawks in the preseason. It's like nothing. It was like Sam Howell for 3 quarters for Seattle, and then it was Easton Stick for the Chargers. It's like what am I watching? I actually fell asleep like watching the game. It's like so brutal.
Gotta love it.
But I kept my streak going of watching every preseason game. So
you're disgusting. You're degenerate.
I know. Brian Thomas goes. I was hoping he'd make it back to me. I like him a lot. I love his potential. Kind of reminds me of DK Metcalf coming out, where it was he was a raw player but insane potential. And I remember thinking like, oh, Metcalf's not going to be great this year. He's going to be awesome the second year, but no, Metcalf was great right away. Like that could be Thomas in that offense with Trevor Lawrence. I could definitely see that happening right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we are closing out on the 8th round now. And so Jonathan Brooks just went. I talked about how I didn't like Brooks because he's not going to play. Like he's just not going to play for the first half a season. Basically, like he's going to be out for the first 4 weeks, and then they're going to ease him into it. And I don't think he's going to be. I don't even know if he's going to be full go at all this year. But they're going to warm him up, and then if he is full go, it'll be like week 9 or week 10 where he gets going. And like by then, you just use that 8th round pick on someone who could be productive for you. So I wouldn't take him that early. I just don't like that. Gus Edwards, I don't like either. Is there anyone that's like more pedestrian than Gus Edwards in the NFL?
No.
No.
No. Also, when Ladd McConkey went there, the guy that went just ahead that I would have loved to take is Chase Brown, another guy who I guess his ADP has kind of been lower than this, and so there's several guys that I've been thinking about and targeting, but are going a little earlier than what ADP seems to think. So. Again, really just valuable to know. Okay, if I want him, I'm going to have to like it's sort of instead of Jordan Addison. If I really wanted Chase Brown, I should have taken him there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, so good insight from mock draft.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot. Second tight end here. Not a fan. Even if you think there's value with Kyle Pitts, I can promise you there are going to be some great values in around 11, around 12 with tight end. So like if you want a backup tight end, which you can theoretically start 2 and with the flex, I think round 9 is way too early for a backup tight end.
12 personnel in fantasy.
Right? No, it's just always a bad idea. I always like laugh when like guys take like 2 tight ends even early in this. Like I've seen tight ends go like some people draft them like round 3 and round 6. It's like, come on, man. Like what are you doing here? It's just like there's no upside. I mean, there's limited upside with tight ends.
For many years, I was in a what I refer to it as my big money auction league, 14 team auction league, and 20-man roster. So deep roster. And my hack was to always put a tight end in my flex because the kind of like the point per dollar ratio was just way people didn't spend nearly as much money on tight ends in that league. And so I could spend more money on my starting running backs and like my number 1 receiver and then just get like 2 cheap tight ends. And it was always like the best value. So always trying to zig when the market is zagging, that's my flavor.
Yeah, so Littlefinger philosophy is it's like buy when people don't want to buy and sell when people want stuff. So you're up now.
All right, the other I think there's a crew of guys here that I kind of like that are all kind of in the same mix, but I'm going to take a guy maybe a little surprising to some, but I'm going to take Trey Benson. I know you took James Conner. James Conner had a good finish to the year, but James Conner's, he's just a guy. He's strong. He's a locker room guy, but Everything I've heard about Trey Benson, he's got all the talent, and that he might be the best running back, of his class. So, again, I'm not a college football connoisseur. I don't pretend to watch lots of games. I rely on guys like Matt Waldman and Charlie Campbell and other guys in the business that do rookie scouting. But everything I read about Trey Benson is that he's awesome and will likely be the starter by at some point in the year. So I'm going to take my chances with him.
I like Benson. I thought he's my favorite running back coming out of this class. So it's just like, yeah, you have to wait for Connor to get hurt, but it's not like Connor is this a beacon of durability. You know what I mean? Like he's always been injured almost every year. So that's the downside with taking him at 401 is that, yeah, he could be hurt. But I do like Arizona's offensive line, though. I would say that. Like, I think that's a very underrated aspect of this team. So Joshua Palmer went. Hopkins, Hopkins is injured. I wouldn't take him this early. Like he didn't look quite that good last year. Let's put it nicely. It just like seems like his best days are far behind him. So I don't think I'd take him in the 9th round. Same with Elliott. I still know. I can't see Elliott being the lead back there. Maybe goal line, but that's it. I am up now. Romeo Dubs just went, so I'm going to remove him. So I believe the guy I like is still here, I think. Let's see. So I feel like I've been drafting this guy in every league. Ricky Pearsall. If Brandon Ayuk is moved, which I don't know, like maybe that happens, but if he is gone, like Pearsall is going to be the number 2 receiver in that offense, which I think is really valuable. And they did draft him in the 1st round, so they obviously have big plans for him. The other player I'm going to draft is let's see here. So Elliott just went. I'm going to take Ricky Dowdle, who I like him a lot more than Elliott. So
he's the guy I had written down here. So yet again.
Sorry, Kenny. Well, we won't have to worry about quarterback competition between us, but some of these guys, I feel like some of the sleepers in the round 9 to 14 range, we're going to have some competition to see who gets them, which is like pretty common for us, I think.
Yeah.
It's funny. Sometimes we do so many of these mock drafts together. I like know who you're going to draft by the draft time, and so when the draft is happening, like when we used to have people here and like you used to always be on call because you were in Minnesota, I would be like, I know he's going to pick, and I'd like hold up the name, and then like right before he made the pick, like I'd usually be right, just because like we draft so much, I know you're thinking, and I feel like you know the same about me too.
It's I mean, and then we just know our tendencies, right? I mean,
yeah.
As you said, 24 years of drafting together.
It's crazy. That's insane. It's almost a quarter of a century that we've been in leagues together.
Before I was a dad, before I was a responsible human being. I mean, let's be honest, I'm still not a responsible human being, but. Well,
we were just cracking jokes with each other the entire time in Mr. Rosen's class when we first met, and that's where I set up this website for the first time. It was centralhigh.net/wtrap/football.html.
Zach Sherman just goes right there. A little surprised again. I thought he would last a round or two later. I'm writing guys down that I'm going to target, and they're gone. And so, yeah, that's a bummer. So here I am in round 10, and there's several tight ends here that I still like. There's just several quarterbacks here that I like. So I don't feel obligated to take any one of those guys, but there's not really a running back or a tight end that I love that I'm like just crazy about here. So I guess I'm gonna go quarterback. This is early, 10th round for me. It's pretty early for quarterback, but I would imagine that this guy's got a really good high end, I think, upside. We talked about a moment ago. I'm gonna go Jordan Love, no cookie Jordan Love, as you like to call him. And
actually Aaron Rodgers was calling him that, not me.
Yeah.
What are you?
And I think if I'm going to take a shot at a guy, at this point of the draft, I want the guy. If I'm going to draft a quarterback before round 12, I want it to be the guy who has a legitimate chance to be top 3. And I think Jordan Love has a legitimate chance to be top 3. I mean, I guess you could say that about several guys, but none of the other guys that left at this point have that. You can say that about. I don't think at least.
I think there's one other guy you could say it, but there's major downside with him too.
I mean, there's a bunch of these. So like of this crew that's left, I think Love, there's a significant gap between Love and the rest of the crew that's left here. So I'll take Love here in the 10th. If I had skipped Love here and he didn't make it back to me around 11, then I probably would have waited till to the very end to draft someone. I mean, there's several guys here that I think I'd still be happy with. So.
Yeah, some of these quarterbacks are available. It kind of surprised me. Like we've seen Jordan Love go earlier than this. A couple other guys as well. So yeah, it is. I get what you're saying about the value being there, and I kind of wish I waited for a quarterback. But then again, I look at like who I could have drafted. And I'm like, I don't like any of these guys anyway. At the turn here. Who would I draft? I don't like Cooper Kupp. I think he's too old. Swift, definitely not. Mike Evans, he's 31. Metcalf, maybe, but I'm down on Seattle. Jalen Waddle, I suppose, is the other guy. So maybe I could take in Jalen Waddle as my second receiver there. And then I would have taken Jordan Love at 10:01 had I not drafted a quarterback. So I don't know. Like, is my team better with Hurts and Dowdle versus Love and Waddle? Like, I actually, you know what? I think I like the second one better.
I mean, obviously, I think as you said, like I said earlier, like the strategy can work either way. It all depends on what kind of season. I mean, if Rico Dowdle is legitimately a number one guy on that team,
yeah,
well then that's a game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I think either strategy can work if you get the right guy. I mean, that's obviously easier said than done.
Yep. Yeah, I guess we'll see, but it's just the quality player that you can get. I guess like 312 is fine for Waddle, but where you were drafting in the second round is like Waddle was pretty high on my best player available, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to take Waddle to a 7. It's just rough. I don't like what happened to make this like so. But like, there's no deep talent pool this year, and I don't ever remember it being like this. I always would like the guys I drafted in the third round, and it's not the case this year. Like, what do you think happened?
I think it's the opposite. I think I don't think there's no deep. I think there's too much. Like, there's a long group of guys, but the positions are flatter. It's like the guy that I can draft in the second round and the guy I drafted in the fourth round feel comparable because I feel like there's actually more guys I like. So It's like, oh man, why draft this guy in the second? I like a guy that I could draft in the fourth that's equal.
Okay.
Like, I feel like the list of guys in the kind of the second tier running back and second tier wide receivers are kind of like there's like the tier is bigger in my mind than in years past.
Interesting. I think what's missing is the second round, second half of the second round talent. I think that's where it's weaker. I should say. I just don't think it's there. Like you're looking at like James Cook, Devon Achane, Derrick Henry. Like these are guys who should be going end of third round, not second round. But you are up.
I'm going to go tight end here. I'm going to go the guy whose ADP on this website is way lower than everyone else. I just it's a little bit of a homer pick, but I love Dallas Goedert. The fact that I'm pairing him here on the same team with Barkley maybe caps my touchdown upside a little bit. You got a running back and tight end from the same team, but I'm okay with that. I think Goddard's a monster in the 11th round. I think he's significantly more talented than Evan Ingram and David Njoku and Jake Ferguson. I don't know about Brock Bowers. I'm not taking a rookie tight end anytime this millennium. That's not my jam. So that's one of my cardinal rules. Never draft a rookie tight end. But that's just me.
Yeah. It can work sometimes, like last year with Laporta, but I think for the most part it doesn't. I like the Goddard pick. I mean, I've drafted Goddard in every league, I think. So this is the first time I'm not going to get him. And Jake Ferguson's the other guy I had my eye on. But I mean, frankly, there are a lot of tight ends here that you could take and be pretty happy with. So, I think that like this is the value spot for tight ends, the 11th round. Like I really like, unless you're getting an insane value like I did last year in our league with TJ Hawkinson in the 7th round. I really don't think there's a good reason to draft a tight end early just because the immense talent here. The quarterbacks I had my eyes on are still there. I don't. I'm missing something. There's some good quarterbacks here. I mean, not like an amazing, but like there's some great values. I'm not going to mention them until they're gone, but
I overdrafted. I drafted a quarterback way too early. 10th round.
Apparently, yeah. I don't know. I mean, actually, like just looking at your team, like Sanders is the only guy who didn't have a quarterback, like heading back. So you could have theoretically, I think, maybe drafted Jordan Love. Although maybe Sanders could tell us otherwise. Maybe he would. He could tell us in the chat that he would have taken Jordan Love. But that's something to look out for. Although when you're getting to double-digit rounds, you really don't know. There was a guy who Spite drafted in our league, actually, the league we've been in forever. There's a guy who Spite drafted someone just so I wouldn't get a quarterback, and I'll tell the story in a second. Actually worked out for him, but sort of not. Braylon Allen's a fantastic pick. That's who I would have drafted here. So that kind of destroyed my plans. So let's see here. Well, I have to draft a tight end, I think. I guess I don't have to, but I feel like the good ones might be gone by the time we come back. So I'm going to go with Evan Ingram. You mentioned him. I know you're not a fan of him, but he had the 4th most catches in the NFL last year of all players, which I think is just ridiculous. And now Calvin Ridley's gone, so he could get more of a workload. So now I have to find a replacement for Braylon Allen. I think I'm going to go with Roschon Johnson here, just because I think Khalil Herbert will be traded. I think they're showcasing him in the preseason, and I think Roschon Johnson played ahead of Khalil Herbert in the first preseason game, and he didn't play in this last one. So I don't know if that would change or anything like that. But I do like Roschon Johnson's talent, and if Herbert's traded, he's going to have a great chance to play, because DeAndre Swift is so injury prone. So, but I would have preferred Braylon Allen.
Yeah, I have a suspicion that Khalil Herbert gets traded to the Cowboys. Like I don't know, it's a gut feeling, and I have a large gut, so.
I agree. Kyler Murray, I thought was going to go earlier.
I have a large gut. Thanks, Walt. Appreciate it, bro.
No, I agree that Herbert could be traded to Dallas. I'm not that mean, and I'm not one to talk either. I'm the heaviest I've ever been. So, if you think you have a large gut, I do as well. So we can we can share that similarity. So no, Kyler Murray I thought would go earlier. I know he's very injury prone, but we've seen him go like in fantasy football calculator. We've seen him go like 7th, 8th round, or maybe 9th round. Like this 12th round, that's great value. So there's still good quarterbacks available here. So it's pretty crazy. But you're up soon. I was going to talk about the draft and the guy who sniped me with the quarterback, which is a funny story. Tyrone Tracy goes. So you're up. What are you doing here?
So I've got 3 guys written down that I like in this spot. I'm gonna go with the guy that I want to draft here. I have his co-backfield guy, and so not would not be a wise pick here. So I don't think I'm going to do that. Although I feel like a bummer. I feel like he's the best. He's the best pick. So
I'm trying to figure out who that is.
So it feels like a way, like not a ideal pick. So I'm gonna go with the guy that I like here, kind of a sleeper or undervalued. I'll go with Jahan Dotson. And so I think in the 12th round he's good value. He still hasn't quite ever put it together. Great talent coming out of college. Has had moments where he's looked really good, but just never quite put it together. And so, well, maybe we'll see with the new coaching staff, new offensive system, new quarterback. Maybe that's a chance to kind of break out.
Yeah, I like Dotson. I think he could rebound. He was bad last year, but so was McLaurin. It was more Sam Howell than anything, and also the offensive line, which is pretty dreadful. So I think they definitely rebound. Dak Prescott was another quarterback I was looking at. I said before that I think Dallas's offense takes a step back, but they could be in a lot of shootouts too. That defense outside of its pass rush isn't great. Like they can't stop the run, so they could be in a lot of shootouts. And Prescott, I think, should go earlier than round 12. Even though I'm not a big fan of his this year, there's still one quarterback I have higher than all these other ones. Not all these other ones. Murray and Prescott, who I had second and third on my list heading into after he took Love. Anyway, so in that draft, this guy, known forever, he 1 year he took like Matt Ryan in the 4th round. And this is not vintage Matt Ryan. This is Matt Ryan in his later years. And like we knew that he was on the decline. And this is not a live draft like we used to do, but so Dave Wolf, who's commented in the chat, he was with me. We were drafting here in my basement, and then everyone else is online. And so like when Matt Ryan was drafted, we're like, Matt Ryan, 4th round, like what's going on here? And so it just didn't know what this guy was doing. And so even though he drafted a quarterback in round 4, he took another quarterback in like round 11, like right before my pick. And his reasoning, like he told us like right after the draft, he's like, so yeah, I saw Walt didn't have a quarterback, so I just drafted another one. Like just to spite me. So that's the only reason he took this guy. And the guy he took was Josh Allen, like coming in like Josh Allen's best year. And so he lucked into that just because he wanted to spite me at the position. Like he said, he wasn't going to take a quarterback if I hadn't had one. Sure. And so like Matt Ryan was just rotting on his bench the entire year and like not doing anything. And he just kept starting Josh Allen eventually.
Ridiculous.
I know. It's like I think I still did pretty well that year, but yeah, it was just like it reminds me of the Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know if you watched that, but no. Like Larry David. Do you watch that?
I've never seen it. No.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. I mean, you like Seinfeld, right?
I mean, I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Larry David, he always goes to this coffee shop, and this guy, the owner, like pisses him off, and so he buys the store next to his, and he opens up his own coffee shop, and it's like a spite store. It's just he wants to put the guy out of business, and the kind of like reminded me of that, like the spite pick, just because like this guy, like I've known it forever, like it was just like a rivalry of sorts. He just took the guy I wanted, like he knew I liked him too from my website. So yeah. So yeah, it's fun times when like there's rivalries in fantasy leagues. It's always fun. It's like the best part of it. It's like the drafting, which we used to do that in person. What'd you say?
It's supposed to be fun. That's the.
Oh yeah, it's a blast, and like that. I feel like drafting in person has gone away. Like we used to draft in person all the time. Yeah. All right, you're up. Cole Kmet, good value pick. Another reason why you can wait till tight end. Wait for a tight end. So you're up.
I definitely took tight end way too early in round 11. Ridiculous. All right, so we're around 13. I've got all my I'm not going to draft kicker or defense, right? Do I have to do that? No, right?
No.
I'll do that. Okay, maybe this is a little early for this guy here, but I'm going to take him anyway. I want to talk about him. Keaton Mitchell. I know he's coming off the injury, but the little I've seen of him, this guy's fun. This guy's phenomenal. He's a fantastic talent. Who knows with the injury? Maybe he's not healthy all year. Maybe he's not healthy to the second half of the year. But if I can afford to have him on my bench for the year, sometimes you draft the guy late as a flyer, you have to drop him because you need the roster spot. But if I can afford to keep him, I want to keep him on my roster because with the situation with Derrick Henry and his age and the style of offense, I could easily foresee Mitchell being the preferred guy in the second half of the year, or at least there being a quality a split, a share, even if it's 60-40 in favor of Derrick Henry. I think there'll be enough carries for Miller or for Mitchell to be productive and valuable. So he's kind of my favorite, late round flyer, but probably won't be a contributor till late in the season, if not, or at least not till mid-season or later in the season, probably.
Yeah, if he were coming off a torn ACL, I'd love him a lot. It's the only worry there. But yeah, I mean, if he's still super young, so he could definitely get there. To two quarterbacks in this round, amazing values, by the way. Daniels, who scored a rushing touchdown in the preseason. Tua was the other quarterback. You mentioned guys who could finish in the top three. I think Tua could get there just because he could have a ton of passing volume this season because the defense is going to be a lot worse. He's my pick to lead the league in passing yards. Now, he could get hurt. That's the issue there, but I think that's incredible value in the 13th round. So
I actually regret taking Jordan Love in the 10th because if I had not taken him in the 10th, I probably would have taken Jaden Daniels in the 11th or 12th. He's actually my favorite because of the rushing potential there. I think Tua is great value. I think Tua is better than, or is at least in the same category as Joe Burrow, who went in the 7th. You're not far behind Joe Burrow.
No,
not far behind CJ Stroud, and there's multiple rounds there. So I think it's great value.
Yeah. There's incredible value with the quarterback slate. You're right. It's pretty remarkable. All right. So I want another receiver, and I thought Mooney was available. I guess I missed when he was drafted. Man, there's just not good receivers. I think my guy, I think that Greg Dortch. I'd rather have him in PPR, but I'm a fan of Greg Dortch. Anyway, because he works hard. He reminds me of, like, these receivers just keep getting better. Like Adam Thielen was like that. Like, he was barely on the roster, then he played and he looked good, and then he became a superstar. I'm not saying Greg Dortch is going to become a superstar, but I think he could just become a bigger part of the offense as years go by. But Kamani Vidal's the one I want to talk about, really, because I was excited to watch him in the preseason just because, like, don't know much about him as being a late round pick. And so in the first preseason game, he's warming up. I actually had him on my DraftKings lineup, and he did not play. Jim Harbaugh held him out. And I'm like, okay, and this is the same Jim Harbaugh I talked about earlier, who did not play any of his starters. So this is a rookie who warmed up, so he's not injured, and Harbaugh held him out. So I think that means he has he has some plans for him this year. So I think that was something that stood out to me. So I am going to look at Kamani Vidal in the late rounds.
You're right. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen these guys play, so you might be 100% right. I have no opinion.
Yeah, I just I thought it was very strange to have your 6th round rookie running back warm up and not play him. It just kind of remind me of a couple years ago. I remember Dameon Pierce stood out in training camp, and then I was like, oh, I can't wait to watch this guy in the preseason. And then Lovie Smith held him out in the preseason, and so Dameon Pierce became the lead back there. And the job is wide open. Like, Gus Edwards is miserable. J.K. Dobbins has potential, but he's come off the torn Achilles. And the Chargers want to run the ball. It's not a team that's going to go super pass happy. So, Vidal has the potential just to be the lead back. Like, by the end of the year, he could be leading that team in carries. So, he's one of my late round sleepers. I'm going to update my sleepers list. He's going to be at the top, I think. But you took Josh Downs. Any thoughts on that? He's injured, but that's why he lasted this long.
Yeah, I mean, just going back and watched a little bit. I went back and watched on NFL Game Pass. I went back and watched Anthony Richardson's 3.5 games last year. I kind of forgot how little he played last year. He played 14 quarters of football. I mean, not a lot.
One full game. That's it.
I'm like, oh wow. I kind of just forgot how little it was. Anyway, I went back and watched, and Josh Downs kind of stuck out to me a little bit. I kind of forgot he's not a phenomenal talent, but I kind of like him. And, I love Michael Pittman and Donnie Mitchell. He's getting a lot of buzz. I had him written down as one of my guys, but in the 14th round, I think I'm willing to take a shot on Josh Downs. I don't know for sure that it's going to be worth anything. He could be a guy that I'm cutting in a week or two, but I like him a little bit. I think I like him more than the other guy. There's one other receiver in this range that I kind of was thinking about, but Downs has kind of stuck out to me a little bit more. So I'm going to go back and watch a little more of the Colts on Game Pass in the next couple of weeks here to get. I'm trying to get a feel for Anthony Richardson. If there's a quarterback that I might try to sneak a little higher up because I think he's got a chance to just totally kind of break the system, it's Richardson. But I'm just not sure. I don't think it's crazy that Richardson ends up being the number one quarterback this year and ends up being like having a crazy year. Maybe not like a Mahomes 2018 type year, but like could he have like a kind of like a Colin Kaepernick rookie year or the Russell Wilson early in career, like one of those types of seasons that we all look back and go, oh my gosh, why was this guy not the number one quarterback? So anyway, in my research and watching, Downs kind of stuck out to me a little bit. I've had him on my radar.
Yeah, I like him a lot more in PPR, but I think you're right. Like the Colts offense has a lot of potential. Richardson, like if he stays healthy, I think that team could go the distance. I think they had that upside. I bet him at 75-1 to win the Super Bowl. So it's just like they do have downside though, because he tends to get hurt a lot. But you're up with your penultimate pick.
In my what pick, you said?
The penultimate pick, as opposed to your downs pick, which is the anti-penultimate pick. And as opposed to Keaton Mitchell is your pre-anti-penultimate pick.
Walter, you are
and as opposed to Dawson, which is your pre-anti-ultimate pick.
Okay, here's I should not have drafted Goddard in the 11th round. Drafting a tight end before round 15 is absolutely ridiculous. What was I doing? I'm going to draft the second tight end here just so that I can just prove Dalton Schultz in the 15th round. It's fantastic. Like,
it's crazy.
What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Drafting a tight end before round 15 is the dumbest thing you could ever do.
There are other good tight ends too. Like, I don't. Yeah, we can discuss them later, I suppose. Although, I mean, it is Pat Fryman is like the other guy I was looking at. Like, well, yeah, you're right. Like, why are you drafting tight ends before round 15? Before maybe 14 to be safe. But it's crazy. I don't like why. Like I said, unless you get an insane value like Hawkins in 7th round, and in this case, this year maybe it's like Sam Laporta in the 6th round or something. Or do you like Trey McBride? Maybe it's Trey McBride in like the 8th round. Like at that point, maybe you just pull the trigger. But you're right. I mean, there's so many good tight ends. It's crazy.
It's the depth.
Yeah, and quarterback too. I mean, Jared Goff, 14th round. I'm fine starting Jared Goff. As long as I feel like if you have Jared Goff, you might want to have a second quarterback just because, right. Goff playing outside in cold weather, when you get there late, it's kind of an issue. But overall, I think it's you can just wait really. And Jared Goff, like I said, it's perfectly fine starting him, and then you could maybe rotate him with someone else, like maybe a Matthew Stafford. So anyway, I'm up receivers. There's not much left. Roman Wilson's the top receiver. I was actually going to look at Marvin Mims, who, just because I feel like if Rainmaker still existed, I think Marvin Mims would have a great year because I sold that legendary card of his that I got. Someone offered me, I think it was like $300 or $400 for it or something. So I just accepted the offer just because I think Denver's gonna be terrible this year. But I don't know. There's not much here. I'm going to take Luke McCaffrey. Why not? He made a big play in the preseason. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. Anyway, kicker. I'm going to take. I saw a funny name here. I don't know where it went. Alex Quevedo. How about that? What do you think about Alex Quevedo? I don't know what team he's on, but maybe he does something.
Probably not.
Probably not. No, Luke McCaffrey, I thought he made a good play in the preseason. He caught like a pass over the middle of the field and picked up some yards after the catch. I think he could be the slot receiver for the Redskins this year. Roman Wilson was the other guy I was looking at, but he's injured. But Pittsburgh tends to draft well for receivers in the 2nd and 3rd round. So I think there's some potential with Roman Wilson there. Kirk Cousins, another guy you can rotate with Jared Goff. Just like looking at these like late guys like Jared Goff, and if you had like Jared Goff, if you took like Jaden Daniels and then Jared Goff, like that's a good rotation, I think. Okay, Gibson, I assume that was the other guy you had where you said I have the other person in this backfield.
Yep. Gibson's had some really good moments in his career, and then kind of was relegated to 3rd down duties. But the running back rotation in Washington was never consistent. It was always kind of goofy and never really made sense. And all of a sudden Curtis Samuel would be getting carries out of the backfield. I mean, it was just, the more I think about that, the previous coaching staff, the more I think about Roger,
Yes. Why is he here?
like it's awesome.
Why is he still listed?
Tebow's good. So I wonder if Antonio Gates goes to New England, maybe has a potential, a little bit of a resurgence there, and ends up being a good third down back, and maybe get some goal line looks and can have some decent value for a team. I don't know.
why is Tim Tebow there? He hasn't played in more than a decade. That's great. That's awesome. A+ there. I love the Vinatieri pick too. It's great. Quevedo I thought was the best one, but I was outclassed by Vinatieri and Tebow. So great job, guys. And by the way, Trevor Lawrence, 16th round. I I was so adamant about taking quarterbacks early, and now I'm like, no, it's stupid. I think I'm done. I think I'm done taking quarterbacks early. What's this? Trevor Lawrence in the 16th round? That's crazy. That's insane. Like Caleb Williams, I like Caleb Williams, 14th round. I think Tua could lead the league in passing yards. Someone got him in the 13th round.
I think it all depends on what, knowing the league that you drafted. So fair, like in my, I'm in one league that none of the guys take quarterback, and so it's like if you take a quarterback in round 6, you're probably the first one to take a quarterback. Right. There's a really good reason. Like if Mahomes is there in round 6 or Josh Allen, I'm going to take him in round 6. Mm-hmm. But then in our league, in our home league with me, you, and Dave Wolf's in that league, there's guys taking. I mean, there's several quarterbacks off the board by the end of round 4.
And round 4, but someone took Patrick Mahomes at number 4 overall last year.
Yeah, I mean, I said several quarterbacks off the board, but Josh Allen will go around 2 in that league. Maybe Mahomes will go around 2 in that league. Hurts will probably go late, maybe in the 3rd. It's an Eagles heavy league. Philadelphia league, a lot of Eagles homers, so maybe Hurts even goes earlier. But I could see Burrow and CJ Stroud going around 3 or 4 in that league. So that's the kind of league where it's like, hey, Trevor Lawrence is not lasting the round 16 in that league.
No.
There's a lot of guys that take 2 quarterbacks in that league, which I just never do.
So Bagley says here. Yeah, a lot of noobs will start drafting backups earlier just because what happens is they don't know any of the sleepers, but they do know the quarterback names. And so they'll just it'll be a lazy pick where they just don't put any research into it. And so they'll think that they need to draft a backup quarterback, even though they take one in the 3rd round, kind of like my friend did, with Matt Ryan, then Josh Allen. I know that's a spite pick, but still it's the same sort of mentality where you just take a backup quarterback rather than improving your team because, you draft a quarterback super early, like the first 4 rounds, you should not be drafting a quarterback otherwise. But, right. If you're taking a quarterback like round 12 is your first one, maybe you want to pair him with another one so you can rotate and just get the best matchup. So anyway, let's look at our teams. So I started with AJ Brown. I paired him with Jalen Hurts. So I like the stack there. I think there's a ton of potential for there. My running backs: Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Tony Pollard, Hubbard. I love Pollard, especially after seeing him play in that first preseason game. He just looks back. Rick O'Dowd, I think, could be the leader for carries on that team, although I still think that the Cowboys may trade for someone. So it's kind of a risk. My receivers are Brown, Cooper, Watson, Pearsall. Pearsall will be he'll be going a lot earlier if Ajax is traded. So we'll see what happens there. And then a couple sleepers here, I suppose. I do regret taking Hurts now and seeing where these other guys go. So I would have gone with Jalen Waddle instead. And so he would have been my second receiver. So I think I'd like my team more. And, get Jordan Love in round 10. I think that's just great value. And then Ingram is my tight end in the 11th round. Now, again, if you can get Dalton Schultz and Freiermuth in the 15th, so maybe that's a little early for Ingram. But I still think decent value. All right, so you want to talk about your team?
I like this team quite a bit. I think it's a competitive team. Devontae Adams there, maybe not the wisest pick. I think back, maybe Deebo Samuel would be better there in that spot. And then I wouldn't come back and take Ayuk, obviously, if I had Samuel. I picked at the 6th spot intentionally because I am wrestling through who the best player there. If I'm drafting early in the 1st, I feel confident who would I pick in the late 2nd. If I'm drafting late in the 1st, I feel good about where I draft there. Middle of the rounds, 2nd and 3rd round field, just we've already talked about it, just feel blurry to me. So I don't love when I'm drafting here. I think it's fine. I love Aaron Jones and I like Stevenson as a third guy. There's a lot that can go wrong there, though. I mean, I got to, Addison, McConkey could be great upside, but there's also some serious question marks. So I think this team has a lot of upside, but man, this team could be a wreck by week 5 or 6 if a couple things go wrong. Love Jordan Love at the 10th round, Goddard in this 11th round. Love those guys there. So I think if I could do it over again, maybe I don't take Addison in this spot. Maybe I don't take Adams in that spot. But if I take Justin Jefferson maybe at the 6th spot, and then I come back and take running backs, like I think about that, but I don't even know who the running backs I would want to take there are. Do I want to take Henry there? Derrick Henry? No, I don't want that. Like, I don't know. That's too early for Joe Mixon, probably, right? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it just feels like I got to go running back in that spot there. So otherwise, then I feel like you're reaching a bit. But so I think this team has a lot of upside. Dang, this team could be a total wreck by week 5 or 6 if a couple injuries or one suspension. Then this team's a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that about any team, with the injuries and stuff like that. Last year in our league, every single player I drafted, except for Chris Olave, got injured. And then with Olave, Derek Carr got hurt. So that was it was a pretty rough season, although I did steal C.J. Stroud from you when you cut him for the bye or something. I'm like, oh, C.J. Stroud's here. Let me get him.
It was a terrible. I drafted him late, and it was like week 3.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh, what a bummer. Yeah, I needed the roster spot desperately.
Yeah, I was pretty happy about that. All right, so let's review these teams. Unless you have to get going, that's 1:15. Can you stay on, or do you have to go?
Oh, I was muted there. I'm a man of the people, Walt. I always have time.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. So Slew at the first spot took Bijan, and then he didn't go running back until round 6. So it's the hero running back formula. So he went Debo at receiver, Malik Neighbors, Jaden Reed, Khalil Shakir. I don't know about Malik Neighbors in the 5th round. Just with Daniel Jones, I don't like him. I know Slew's been drafting Mark Andrews a lot. I think you can wait on tight end. Andrews is great and everything, but you see the value at tight end late. I don't think I'd go Andrews at 4-12 personally. And then quarterback Josh Allen, I still think you can draft a quarterback in the 3rd round. I said I walked back my strategy already. I mean, one of the top 3 guys in the 3rd round, I think that's definitely acceptable. Debo, I love in round 2. I love Jerome Ford, round 8. Khalil Herbert could be the starter somewhere after a trade happens. And Ray Davis, I think, has a lot of potential. Mooney was the sleeper I liked. I wouldn't draft Thielen. I just think that's low upside. Although I do like Will Shipley. I think if Barkley goes down, I think that Shipley could be the starter over Gainwell. So I like some of the sleepers here. I don't like quarterback tight end early. I think one of them's fine early. I think drafting both positions early, I think, is a mistake given that there's so much potential at the position. And if you take both early, you're really hurting your depth at running back and receiver. So overall, I think this team is fine. I like some of the things about it, but I think that and I know Slew might just be experimenting with the quarterback and tight end early. I just don't think you can do both of them. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you're experimenting just to see how your team turns out, that's great in a mock. Taking a quarterback and a tight end. I think my opinion is don't take either. But if you're going to do one, you definitely can't do the other. It kills your opportunity there. Again, I think the Bijan number 1 overall is defensible. I wouldn't do it, but I think it's perfectly within the realm. It's not crazy. We know Bijan's an incredible talent. So, but if you're going to go kind of the hero ball, strategy, man, I think you got to take some guys, some running backs that are maybe a little more either have better upside or higher floor. And you got some guys here that seem to have neither. Like Austin Eckler, I don't know if there's a floor or great upside there. We don't know what to expect. Jerome Ford, I don't know. He's an okay guy. Khalil Herbert has tremendous upside with the Bears, or if he were to be traded, but the floor is pretty low as well. I think I would have. I think if you're going to go this strategy, kind of one, Bijan number 1, and then quarterback and tight end early, I think you got to make different decisions at the running back spot. I think the receivers are fine. I don't love Neighbors there. It makes me nervous, but I don't think it's terrible. Jalen Reed here, not terrible. I think he's fine. Yeah, I think the strategy is okay.
Second team, M. Lapham. So I don't like a lot of the players that he took. Derrick Henry, especially in the second round. Rome Odunze in the seventh, I think that's way too early for a rookie receiver. Like, if you want a rookie receiver, just wait a little bit for Brian Thomas or maybe someone else. Odunze is the third receiver on that team, and you also have to worry about Cole Kmet. So he's the fourth option in the passing game right now. So I don't like that at all in the seventh round. Gus Edwards talked about just awful. Rashid Shaheed, I think, has some potential if that offensive line is better than I expect, but I don't think that offensive line is going to be good at all. And I think Derek Carr is going to be under a lot of pressure, and I don't think he's going to be able to hit Shaheed very often. And there's one fundamental issue with this team, and it's that he took McCaffrey in the first round and then Kittle in the sixth. So, it's different than, what I did with 2 and 8. I think even that I was kind of hesitant. If it was like 1 and 6, I think that's just way too early for a clash there. I do like Kittle just because if McCaffrey is injured and Ayuk is traded, Kittle's going to have way more targets. But I just think that going same team 1 and 6, I think is just wrong. So what are your thoughts on teams 2?
Yeah. I don't think I love it either. I think I agree with your point on the Odunze. Edwards is okay. I like JSN a lot. I think he could take a major step forward this year. I think there's a lot of question marks here. I was kind of on Tolbert in Dallas a couple weeks ago. I think I've come off of that. Not as excited. I love Pittman. I've had a man crush on. And then yet I hate Drake London. Love George Kittle, but can't stand Gus Edwards. So I don't know. I feel kind of conflicted. This team to me is like that crazy girlfriend you dated in high school, but she's super hot. It's like like there are moments you love them, and then moments you just can't want to strangle. That's talking about the team.
Nice. All right. Team 3. So first of all, Team Tebow, A+. Great pick there. We talked about this before, but tight end at 3 and round 9, I don't like that. Especially given the great depth at tight end. Like if you took Cole Kmet 13th round or Dalton Schultz 15th round, that's perfectly fine. But round 3 and 9 for tight end just seems like way too early. I'm not a fan of Devon Achane. Just think that he's just going to get 10 carries per game. But Javonte Williams, that worries me, like running back on bad team, but he's going to get all the touches there. Jameson Williams in the 8th round, I'm not a fan of, especially with Laporta here. That's another conflict. Now, I know I went 2 and 8, so I just kind of criticizing my own philosophy there. But I just think that 8th round is just way too early for Jameson Williams. Like it just feels wrong that Christian Watson and Jameson Williams went in the same round. Like that just does not seem correct at all. Like, I feel like Williams, you can get him in the 10th round or even later, or someone comparable. So I do like some picks here, Lamb, obviously, but Laporta has potentially, but again, you can wait on tight end. So if you didn't take Laporta and he took someone else like Olave or Ayuk and then drafted Pitts in round 9, like that would have been a lot better. Lamar Jackson, I worry about him too with his health. 2 of the last 3 years, he's not been able to finish. So, and then Nick Chubb in round 10, I don't think there's a chance he doesn't even play this year. Damian Pierce seems like a lost cause. Jalen Polk, not much upside. Rashad Bateman, I think that's a wasted pick. So despite the Tebow selection, I'm just not a big fan of this team. What do you think?
I think I agree with pretty much everything you said here. I think the biggest thing, the lesson, we're doing mocks, so always want to learn lessons, okay? Just reminders. And that is, the running back position is the hardest position to replace midseason. When you have buys or injuries, players that have busted, the running back position is the hardest position to replace, without question. And so when you go into a season with Devon Achane or Javonte Williams or Nick Chubb and Damian Pierce, you need a lot of things to go right for your team to be competitive. So in all likelihood, Damian Pierce and Nick Chubb are not productive. David and Achane is up and down or inconsistent. Who knows? This team could end up being, 1 and 4 and 1 and 5 because it's got no production at running back and incapable of being able to replace it off the waiver wire. So that's bottom. I like Keenan Allen. I actually am a little bit higher on Jameson Williams maybe than you are. He came out with so much hype coming out of college, and then decided to gamble. Just so dumb that these guys are gambling on property. Just do it at home. Get an alias. I don't know. Get a translator like one Mr. Otani. What are you doing? I don't know. But like maybe Williams has I don't know. Like maybe 8th round.
I'd love to see if Jameson Williams pretending that he doesn't speak English. Just has to translate for no reason. That'd be great. Chris asking, would you bother drafting Chubb as a late round stash in keeper leagues, or do you think he's completely toast? Yeah, late round stash. I just don't like him this year. I think in 2025, I think he's going to be back. I think we could probably get like really good value with him next year. Kind of reminds me remember that 1 year Barkley tore his ACL, and the next year he was going early, and I was like, I don't like this guy at all. And then a year after that, he was going later than he was coming off the ACL. I'm like, this makes no sense. So I like them in the second year. Same thing with Chubb. I think that second year, thanks to Sammy Sosa, me no English. Yeah, that's the same thing.
I'm trying to think where I don't know what to expect with Chubb. I mean, that injury was just so gross, man.
Yeah.
And he's had multiple injuries. I mean, multiple ACLs in his career, going back to college. His style of play kind of invites violence. He's just an aggressive guy, and I love it. It's hard to know what to expect. But where do you draft him? It's 10th round here. Okay, feels a little early, but at some point it's worth it. 12th, 13th, or you just think nah, it's just not worth it at all.
It's probably going to go earlier anyway, so you might not have a chance to draft him. But yeah, I think around 12 is fine. 11's maybe okay. So and around 10, it's not the worst thing, but it's the way this team is structured. You have only 2 running backs ahead of Chubb on your roster. There is 0 depth at running back. And so that is the worry you have here with drafting quarterback, tight end in the first 5 rounds. One of those picks, if Laporta becomes Kamara or Mixon or White or Walker, suddenly he's your second running back, Williams is your third, and then Chubb's your fourth. I think that's okay. But you can't have Chubb as your third running back. He's not going to play until week 8 or 9 or 10. So it's you just can't do it that way.
Do we know that for sure though? Have they said that?
I would be shocked if he's not on PUP. I would be absolutely shocked.
Okay.
And he's squatting, but he's not cutting at all. That's the issue. Is the cut, the ability to cut coming off the torn ACL the year after. Even if he plays, he's going to be limited. So you can't, again, if he's your fourth running back, that's okay. But if he's your RB3, you just can't do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so let's go to Sanders, team 4 here. So this is also a running back or hero running back strategy where he took Breece Hall at 104, which I think is a great value because he's the top player on my board. Harrison, we talked about this. I just don't like Harrison that early just because we haven't seen him. Plus Murray has injury history. But there is potential there. That pick could work out. Same with Olave. There's risk here, but all these guys have downside. From 207 to 312. I was talking before, this range. It feels like all these guys should be going 6 to 12 picks later than they should. All of them. So you can criticize all the picks in this range. So and then Nico Collins is his third receiver, which I think is okay. And then he goes Kincaid early, and Sanders is a Bills fan. But I love Kincaid. I think Kincaid could have a Travis Kelce 2022 type season because the Bills don't have a logical number 1 receiver. Jalen Warren, I know you like him. Singletary, bad running back or running back on a bad team. I don't know if Singletary is going to even hold the job. Tyrone Tracy could take it. That's an issue. I do love some of these receivers though. Brian Thomas. Amazing potential to talk about him. Marquise Brown's injured, but I was hoping he'd come back to me around 9. I think that the injury talk is a little overblown. He's not going to be out for that long. So and then you have Curtis Samuel, another Bills player, Jerry Jeudy. Not a big fan of Jerry Jeudy, but getting Prescott and Lawrence late. This is what we're talking about before, where if you draft a quarterback late, you want to pair him with another quarterback to get the best matchup, and Sanders is going to get to do that. Miller, Madison, not a fan of Madison here, but Quentin Johnston, maybe he does something. Who knows? So I think this team is pretty decent. I think overall, a couple things I don't like, but I think I like this team so far. Of all the teams we talked about, I think Slew and John Sanders so far my favorites. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think overall this team should be competitive. Hall at the fourth spot is great value, as you said there. Love Jalen Warren. I'm actually fine with Singletary there. I think he's going to get a lot of touches. I think he's a decent player. So I think that this hero ball strategy has worked better than we saw with Slew, to be honest. So I like that. There's a little bit of upside here. Hollywood Brown, Jerry Jeudy maybe turns it around a little bit. I think there's some decent upside here. Nico Collins, I love that. I love Olave. Obviously, I think I can expect him to be inconsistent. I do. I mentioned the Marvin Harrison Jr. spot. I don't like that. I don't know who else you like. I think it's defensible. Like the bottom line is you're drafting him at the high end of the he's the 10th. Is he the 10th receiver off the board here? Is that right? To be the 10th receiver off the board to replace that kind of value, he's going to have 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, 75 catches. Like, are you expecting like a rookie receiver on the Cardinals with Kyler Murray to have 75 to 80 catches, 13 to 1,400 yards, and 8 touchdowns? Like, it's a really tall order. Like, if that happens, that means the season has gone really well for him and for them. I think that's the high end. Like, I don't think it's likely. So you're drafting him at the high end of his possibility, of his potential. That you're paying top dollar, and there's not a lot of margin for error there. I just think there are other guys you could draft there that you've got more margin for error. That's my thought.
Mm-hmm. But Sanders asking, who else is Murray going to throw to, Kenny? I love that. And Bagley says my team sucks too, so we'll get to his team in a bit. But thank you, John Sanders 222 and Slew 223.
I just dogged you, bro.
Thank you guys, really appreciate it. John says I hate my team except Kincaid/Dak. What not to do? And then Sue says hate my team slightly more than Sanders hates his. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. It really means a lot that you keep the show going. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, of the teams we talked about so far, these two were my favorites, but hopefully we'll get to some other teams that I like more. I think it just speaks to how tough it is to draft early in the first half of the first round rather than the second half. I feel like this is a lot easier. I've mostly drafted in the beginning so far. I wanted to draft at the end, see what it felt like, and I felt like this is a lot easier to draft it at the 12th spot. So Bagley says he hates his team. Let's look at it. So Tyreek Hill, James Cook, Alvin Kamara, Patrick Mahomes, and then Devontae Smith. So he kind of like altered his positions here. I thought Mahomes at 408. I know you're not going to like quarterback early, but considering that the other two guys went third round, like Mahomes, I feel like should go in the same range. So based on that, like the value was good. With his receivers, he has Hill, Smith, Godwin, Myers. I love Jacoby Myers this year because there's a chance Devontae Adams traded. And so if that happens, Myers is going to be the number one receiver by far on the team. Running back, you have Cook, Kamara, White. I'm not a big fan of White. And then Brooks. I don't think you take Brooks in the 8th round. And also McLaughlin, he was playing into the third quarter of the preseason game. So I think we have to hold on McLaughlin. I just don't think he's going to get there. I love the Cole Kmet value. Vinatieri, great pick, by the way. Cordell Patterson, you have Arthur Smith there. He's going to give him some touches, of course.
Terrible.
I think, yeah, I know. I think this team looks fine. I don't know why you dislike it so much. Xavier Legette, I think he has some potential too. I know you like Michael Wilson. So I think this team has some things to like about it. I worry about Kamara with that offensive line. I think the running backs don't look great. I think that may be the issue. I like the receivers and I like the quarterback and I like the tight end. Just the running backs just really scare me. What do you think?
The Kamara one's the one I actually feel best about. Kamara, by the way, last year, he missed 4 games, right?
3 or 4.
He missed 4 games.
3 or 4.
According to numberfire.com, I was on a site when I get the stats. He caught 75 balls last year, and he missed 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Of those 75 balls that he caught, apparently 49 of them when his quarterback was under what they considered significant pressure, which means there's pressure, and then the quarterbacks are just dumping the ball off to Kamara. 49 of the 79. So even if the offensive line is bad, I could see that happening again. Like that's a lot of usage, a lot of yardage, even in non-PPR. That's going to rack up a lot of yards. So Kamara looked just as good to me last year. I didn't see any stuff. I'm not as concerned about him. I thought I'd be able to draft him in the 4th round or 5th round, but maybe I'm going to have to draft him in the 3rd. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm not as concerned about. I mean, James Cook is fine. I don't love it, but like, I don't know who else is in the 2nd round. Like, I don't know. I think it's defensible to draft Cook there. And then I think it's defensible to draft Kamara. I think it's defensible to draft Mahomes in the 4th. Again, I would never do it, but I think it's defensible. Love Smith in the 5th. Hate Zamir White. I think he's terrible. I think he's a bust. I think he's going to be out of the league by week 7. Sorry.
Out of the league. He's gone.
He's gone. He's terrible. He's like, expired onion powder. Like what are you doing? You do that. Anyway.
I don't even like the unexpired onion powder. I hate onions.
The Brooks pick, who knows, a month ago I would have liked that, but it looks like he's not even going to play he looks like he's probably going to start on PUP. And or we might not even see the field till mid-season. So Myers is a good pick, right? We like Myers. I think he's a nice. Yeah. I like Wilson. So there's some good and bad here. Back, it's not terrible.
Yeah, like I said, I like everything but the running backs here. With Kamara, I think he caught like 13 passes or something in week 4 when he came back, but Derek Carr was injured with his shoulder and he couldn't throw the ball downfield. So I think the stats are skewed a little bit there, but you're right. Like that, he's going to be under pressure a lot, so he's going to throw to Kamara quite a bit. But so I like him more in PPR than I do standard. So team 7, Trump best. I like this team. So we started with double running back Taylor and Etienne, and he did the correct thing where he didn't take another running back. Like you usually see like 2 running backs go, and then like someone takes a running back in the 5th round again, So he's loaded at running back with Taylor and Etienne, and so he just decided to go receiver heavy with more Waddle. I love the Waddle value. I like the Dell value as well. Kirk, amazing value there. Deontay Johnson could be getting a ton of targets in that offense. Dontavian Wicks, I think, great sleeper in round 11. And then with some of his other running backs, he just went high upside, especially Blake Corum, Charbonnet. If Walker goes down, that's great. The Tracy could end up being the starting running back. Tua in the 13th rounds, an amazing steal, and then Freiermuth 15th round steal, and he didn't even double up in a quarterback and tight end. Yoshivas, I think, is good potential here in round 16 too. So yeah, this is my favorite team so far that we talked about. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, these are all players I like, with the exception of Travis Etienne, who I think is a bum, and I've talked about that at length. I get nauseous every time I think about him. But I think overall, top to bottom, I like the team. There were multiple times in this draft where I was a guy that I liked that got sniped here. DJ Moore, I'm the president of his fan club. Waddle, I love. Tank Dell, I love. Christian Kirk, I'm the president of his fan club for sure. Brian Robinson, I mentioned. Deontay Johnson, I've been a big fan of. Like, these are all my favorite players pretty much. So I really like this team. I don't like ATN, but it's defensible. It's defendable there. I think I would take James Cook ahead of ATN. I think I'd take Alvin Kamara before I'd take ATN. I'm just not taking Travis Etienne before around, like, I don't know, 12. I just can't stand him.
Wow, around 12.
I don't want to have to root for that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's that great either. I think he's fine. I like him more than you, but I'm not crazy about him. Bagley says Trump best draft so far. So yeah, we'll get to the other 4. Dick asking, does Kenny like anyone? All the running backs suck apparently.
I'm like anyone? A bunch of guys are like, what are you talking about?
All right, kid no name. What'd you say?
I'm very confused by that comment. I literally just mentioned half the guys on this team I love.
All right, kid no name team 8. I think this team looks great as well. He also waited on quarterback and tight end, so maybe that's like a running theme here. Like maybe you should wait on quarterback and tight end, which is we've always done. So again, I feel like I'm kind of moving away from drafting quarterback early. All right, receiver. I think receiver needs to be you think you need a little more depth. Like Palmer is your 4th receiver. I think that's okay. But I just, I mean, if Herbert wasn't hurt, I think I'd feel a lot better about that. So maybe one of these, maybe like Spears, this should have been a receiver. Like if this is Rashi Rice, and then the rest of the team's the same, I think I'd feel a lot better about that. Or or if you like Worthy more or Watson, it doesn't have to be Rice, but outside of that, I think the team was great. Like Jefferson Metcalf is a great 1-2 punch receiver in Pickens. I like, unless Ayuk is there, we'll see. Then Palmer, who was Gabe Davis, Roman Wilson. So I think receiver could be better, but yes, Pacheco, Mixon, Montgomery, and if it gives us out, this looks great. Spears again, I think that could be someone else, especially with Chase Brown here and then Algier. Like I think that again, that's the only thing I dislike about the team, because he got Ferguson late, got Murray and Purdy late. I think this is outstanding outside of that one pick. So what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of these late picks are kind of useless. Like Dylan and Gabe Davis are useless picks. Algier is probably a useless pick, but that's fine. I don't love Jake Ferguson. I'm much lower on him than I think most people tend to be. That's okay. But I think the overall strategy here is excellent and well executed. There's depth at receiver and running back. I love Pacheco and Mixon. I actually seriously thought about Mixon instead of Ayuk in that spot. I'll have to go back and really think through, like, in real life, what am I going to do here? Do I really, if I have to do it over again, I really do think instead of Ayuk, I go Mixon there. And instead of Devontae Adams, I'm not sure who I go there instead of him. Maybe it's Debo. Maybe my best pick is Debo and then Joe Mixon. So like I'm saying, I love Joe Mixon. I think it's a good spot there. Like Metcalf, Montgomery, I think is probably undervalued there, which is a lot coming from me because I've been maybe his biggest hater the last couple of years. But and I love Chase Brown, man. I am convinced Chase Brown is going to be the primary ball carrier in the Bengals sooner rather than later. Zach Moss sucks, and Chase Brown is just clearly a better player. And so I just I'm going to have to figure out where he's going to go in the leagues I'm in and try to guess where he's going to go, because I really want him on my team. I think he has a chance to return like. I think Chase Brown, like next year, he's a 3rd round pick because of what he, the type of season he had. And so I wonder, where do I need to target him? What do you think?
Chase Brown, he said?
Yeah. What do you think of him? And where do you think you have to target him if you really want to have him?
Probably around 7. He was on my radar instead of Hubbard. Like if Hubbard wasn't there, I think Chase Brown would have been my pick. Like he was the 2nd running back available for me. So I think around like second half around 7 / or if you have the last pick, then you can probably get them in like 801 or 802. But yeah, I somewhere around there. I think it also depends on like who you draft with as well. So I was looking at this question: would you have taken Lawrence or Herbert in the last round to pair with Dak? So just like I don't know how their schedules paired up, but I do know in week 1 though both Dak and Herbert had nightmare matchups. Like Dak is going against Cleveland, best defense in the NFL last year. Herbert going against the Raiders, they were number 7 in defense last year, and they added Christian Wilkins, so they could be even better. Lawrence, however, gets Miami, and that could be like a 49-42 shootout. So if you want to pair with Dak, I think Lawrence, at least for week 1, looks best. But I think more so just draft the guy you want. And Herbert's injured, so I think it would be Lawrence for me either way.
When I'm drafting a quarterback late, I want to. Who is the guy that potentially is the top 5, top 7 QB? A guy that I can end up starting every single week and really love that guy. And so I think Trevor Lawrence is the guy that has the talent and the potential system around him. Like any of the guys drafted late that we would be least surprised if Trevor Lawrence was a top 3 quarterback at the end of the year compared to Cousins or Purdy or Matt Stafford or Jared Goff or Caleb Williams, maybe even Tua. Like Trevor's a guy like, okay, finally he put it together. He's got the talent, he's got the system. So I think I want to lean toward that. I care more about that than I do matching up 2 guys necessarily.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Lawrence, of all the quarterbacks in the final 3 rounds, I think he has the most upside. I agree with that. I do think Tua has more upside though. So, Chris talking about Aaron Jones. He doesn't like him because 1, injury history, 2, he'll be 30 on December 3rd. Packers should know how to stop him. The Lions have a ridiculous run defense. Teams will be able to see off on the Vikings. The Vikings will probably be trailing in most of their games. A lot of copy paste error, tee off of the Vikings run game. So that's the downside with Jones. So I mean, do you want to respond because you drafted him in the 4th round?
Well, I drafted him in the 4th round, not in the 2nd round. Like, right? I mean, he's like most years he's been a 2nd round guy. I mean, more than once he's kind of flirted with being a low end 1st round guy. And I don't think anyone disputes it. If he's fully healthy, he's the kind of guy that you would want to draft in like the top 15 picks and be comfortable. So a lot of those things you said are true. Some of those things are assumptive, and there's not a lot of data to support that. But like, oh, they're going to be losing all their games. Like, maybe not. Maybe they're a little better than you think, and maybe JJ McCarthy's better than you think, and or maybe they're losing a lot, and Aaron Jones gets a lot of catches, and therefore he gets a couple extra yards and touchdowns because of it. Like, I don't know. So I think at 4 in the middle of the 4th round, it's all about like I'm drafting him. It's just like, oh, all those things are true. Does that mean he's going to suck and score 0 fantasy points? Well, no. Okay, well then, where's he should be drafted? So, yeah, I don't love him as my 2nd running back. I think I'd rather him as my flex or 3rd running back, but that's probably too much to ask, to be honest.
Yeah. All right. Team 9, Burrow, Brian. I don't like this team. So I see quarterback and tight end early, and I'm like, it's probably not going to like him. But this is there are more issues here. So look at the receivers outside of Chase and look at their downside. Like Nakua is injured now. Mike Evans is 31. Rashee Rice could be suspended for 6 games or more. Hopkins is 31 and injured. Oh, actually, he might be older, but he's injured. Adam Mitchell is a rookie. Tyler Lockett's old too. This receiving group just has a lot of issues. And yet that's not the only problematic position because running back, his RB2 is Zach Moss. His RB3 is Dobbins, who, again, a lot of potential, but he's coming off the torn Achilles, and then he has two backups here at the end. Like this team is just pretty problematic. And on top of that, he drafted White and Evans back to back, so you have this clash here. So, like for many reasons, I just don't like this team at all.
It's funny. I'm okay with the receivers. It's the running backs that I thought were a total train wreck.
Yeah.
I think Rachaad White is way overrated. I think there's 7 or 8 guys that went after him I'd take before him. I'm actually fine with Mike Evans there. I think he's okay. I love Trey McBride. Actually, I've talked about him. I wouldn't take him in the 5th round, but I like him. Yeah, Zach Moss, who I think will be the 2nd ball carrier there. Dobbins, who could be awesome or could be out of the league by the end of the year because of the injury. I just, his range of outcomes is so wide, it's hard to know. Yeah. This team's not a legitimate playoff contender because there's going to be no production at the running back position here. You need so much. Hopkins, I think, is okay in the 9th round. Like, I think he's got a floor. Donnie Mitchell, I've heard a lot of great things about. I'm fine with Lockett in the 12th. Like, I actually probably am higher on that. The question mark for me is Nakua. Like, I think we talked about this last week. Like, are we sure that Nakua really is going to be the number 1 guy? Like, what if Cooper Kupp comes back fully healthy and is like ready to like be the guy again? Or what if it's split? Like, we're drafting Nakua like he's the clear number 1 guy, and that makes me concerned.
Yeah, like that White and Evans clash. It's not the only one. So his receiver 1 and running back 2 are on the same team, and his running back 1 and receiver 3 are on the same team. That's an issue. Like, 1 clash is tough. Two is pretty bad. So make sure you don't do that because your upside is curbed a lot.
You're limiting your upside. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Team 10, Harper Johnson. So he went quarterback and tight end fairly early, but not super early. His receivers, got off to a great start here with St. Brown and Wilson. I worry about the depth here. Like Keon Coleman is his receiver 3. I think that's a little scary because you just don't know what you're going to get with him. And I think this pick was made a little bit too early. Sutton, I think he's Mr. Touchdown regression for this year. And then Cook, I'm not a big fan of Cooks. Jermaine Burton has some upside, but these late round picks with Burton and Franklin, I can get behind, but some of these mid round picks, not a fan of. And then his running back, Swift, always hurt. Can't rely on him. Mostert, always hurt. Najee Harris, splitting touches. Elliott, he's done, and that's it. He only took 4 running backs. I think you need to take way more than 4 running backs. Like, he took 2 tight ends. Like, if you're gonna take Kelsey in the 3rd round, you should not be drafting another tight end. Like, I don't care what the value is. Like, this should have been a sleeper running back here in round 12. And also, he took 2 quarterbacks as well. Like, I don't like, again, I won't do that. Like, yeah, again, if you took quarterback in round 12, yeah, you want to take another quarterback. Round 7, I think that's way too early to draft another quarterback. So despite the strong start there with St. Brown and Wilson, I can't get behind this team. What do you think?
Yeah, this team's not a legitimate playoff contender unless just like a couple guys just have like, historic, historic seasons of sorts. Yeah, so I don't think it's good. I love St. Brown and Wilson start. I think it's great for sure. I actually think I would take AJ Brown above St. Brown, but it's great. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to look and see who else would I would like instead of Kelsey. If that's a running back, if that's Ken Walker, right? Okay, maybe that's fine. And then then instead of DeAndre Swift, like I would much prefer like Aaron Jones or David Montgomery over David Swift or against or over Swift right this moment. So that makes me like Mostert, like, ugh, I don't want Mostert, like like I don't know. And maybe that's a receiver there instead. Najee Harris, ugh, like I don't want him there in that spot. Like, yeah, I'm trying to think who else I would take. I just feel like my whole approach would have been different. So it's hard to even say like, oh, this or this, like one or two things. Like my whole approach should be I just think Kelsey in the third round kind of forces your hand in a way that's just unhelpful.
Yeah, I think if he takes Walker at 310, and then instead of Mostert or Harris, just remove one of them, and he goes, instead of Mostert, if he goes like Higgins, or instead of Harris, he goes Kirk or Pickens. I think that makes his team a lot better,
significantly better.
Yeah. All right. So last team was talking about Scary Hours, team 11. So very, very odd here to not that it's bad, but it's just like odd to see. He went triple running back and then 6 receivers in a row after that, and then triple running back again. So it's pretty funny to do it that way. Again, not that that's a bad thing. It's just something uncommon to see. But I mean, he went Williams, Gibbs, and Walker. If Gibbs is healthy, I think this is a great start at running back. The issue that's like Williams is always hurt, and I mean not always hurt, but he does have a slightly dubious injury history, and Gibbs is hurt now. So it's like it's very risky, but the upside is certainly there. Like if Williams and Gibbs are healthy, like this team's going to be tough to beat at running back. Like this could be the best 1-2 punch at running back, I think. Yeah, it definitely is. I think I like it more than Taylor Etienne if these guys are healthy. So it's the best 1-2 punch at running back. Let's say the problem here, though, is that he took Kupp when he already had Williams. Again, like you don't want this clash at running back receiver. So that is my main criticism with this team. Instead of Cooper Kupp, if you took Evans there, or I don't like even Evans, but it could be Evans or not Metcalf because he had Walker, but also Waddle. One of those two guys, or maybe one of the Houston receivers. I think that would make it a lot better. I like McLaurin. I like Higgins. Not a big fan of Worthy, but you can convince me that maybe it's a better pick. But I like this team overall. Like I like the structure of this team outside of this clash, Williams and Kupp. So make sure you don't do that. I like the quarterback late, tight end late. I know you said you don't like taking rookie tight ends, but round 14 for Bowers is looking pretty good. But yeah, I think Jordan Mason's a wasted pick here because even if McCaffrey goes down, like I'm not convinced Mason's going to get the carries. So I think that could be something different. But yeah, outside of that clash at 1 and 4, I like this team. What do you think?
The clash doesn't bother me as much if I think the offense is going to be good, and I think the Rams are going to score a lot of points, so that doesn't bother me as much. Yeah, it does cap your upside a little bit, but my question mark is, I think overall I agree with most of what you said. Like this team, I might quibble a little bit here and there. I think Romeo Doubs is way overrated. That's just me. I don't know. I watch him play, and I'm like, I think he's okay. I think he's like a 13th round guy to me. Ridley, who knows, man? Ridley could be great. He could be terrible. I don't know. I think Calvin Ridley legitimately could be out of the league in a year or two if he doesn't shape up. Like I don't know what to think of him. But I think this team's got some good upside and some decent floor. I think this is a really good team potentially. My question though is my question is Kyren Williams. Like I guess I am fading in my confidence that he really is worthy of a first round pick. Although I think because number one, I'm watching him play last year and go, there are some things missing from his game. I think And then they drafted this kid again, who I never watched play ever in my entire life, Quorum. But like everyone that I trust says this guy's awesome and that he's going to be, he's going to translate the NFL. So I've got question marks on whether or not I really want, Kyron Williams being like, hey, you're not really as good as maybe I thought you were originally, and you got some injury history, and you got a quarterback, you got a coach who has shown that he's willing to sour on running backs quickly, and you got a guy behind you they just drafted that a lot of guys seem to love. That's a recipe for, are we going to be looking up, end of the year thinking Kyron Williams was a, a 1 year wonder? I'm concerned.
He was so good last year, though. Like, I think there, like what I was saying before, I think there is some major downside with him, but I think the upside is tremendous too. So I don't dislike the pick. I just think that like
he was so good, like he produced, but I'm watching him play. I don't think he was so good. I think he was good, but like you watch him play, like there's a lot of moments where it's like, that's just kind of a guy. Like I think anybody could have done what he did there. There are moments where he's great, but then there are moments where it's like, that doesn't seem special to me. Like when I watch him play, I don't see what I see like when I watch Josh Jacobs or Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I'm a little nervous he's not as talented as those guys.
Yeah, I think that Gibson Jacobs is more talented, but I think he's certainly. I think like I don't hate him in the first round, so that's what I'm saying. But yeah, so I like to see him overall. So outside of that one clash, I know you said you didn't mind it as much, but I don't know. Like running back receiver is always scary. So this like especially like consider like what if Stafford goes down? He's not even on your team. Like what if he goes down? Like you're not worried about one guy, you're worried about two guys at that point. And like Stafford does have an injury track record for sure. All right, so yeah, Higgins I thought was really good value as John says. Chris says I do like Burrow in round 7. Burrow looked really sharp in the preseason. Again, I know preseason is still like he looked healthy at least, and it's like refreshing because last year he was injured heading into the season. John says Bowers goes one tight end spot before Tebow. Bold move. That's wild. That's crazy, isn't it? And then Bagley says every running back past Taylor has some question marks. At some point, you just have to take the guy who's most likely to deliver on his ADP. That's absolutely true. All these running backs have floors for sure. You can make a bear case for every running back here, except for maybe Bijan. I think like Bijan is the safest. Like I don't think he has the most upside. I think like McCaffrey and Hall have the most upside, and maybe even Barkley is more. But I think it's crazy to think, but I think Bijan is the safest. Maybe Taylor too, because that offensive line is great. But he's a little older at that point. Like Bijan doesn't have any age. He doesn't have any wear and tear. That offense should be really good. Like I don't think there's any downside with Bijan. Can you think of any downside with him?
I mean, the worst case scenario is Kirk Cousins is not healthy or goes down, and now you got to deal with, a developmental rookie running back or rookie quarterback, and Michael Penix. Like there's like.
Yeah, but he's better than Ritter though. Even still,
that's a pretty low bar.
I know, but that's again like Bijan would have had a great year last year if he didn't lose touches to Patterson. Like, but Arthur Smith is gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the downside, but the downside is pretty like it's much more palatable downside than you have with, which is why I think it's taking him number one is defensible.
Yeah, and actually, you know what I can't really get a good bear case on Josh Jacobs. I don't understand like why Jacobs is not going in the first round of leagues or drafts rather.
Yeah, I mean if I'm drafting like 7 or 8, 9, Jacobs is in play for me at that spot for sure. I mean I would take him. I would take him ahead of Kyron Williams for sure.
Yeah. I don't know why people are so down on him. I know he didn't have a great year last year, but there's a lot wrong with that offense. Like it was. Like no one was threatened by Aiden O'Connell, and they just loaded the box. But like now you have Jordan Love, like you're not going to be able to do that. So
Josh Jacobs, he also, I mean, yeah, the holdout, and then you just had like the things he has said, like the thing he's just like you could just tell he was not in it last year. He just emotionally was out. Like I hate this organization, I hate this situation. I want to be out of here. I think Green Bay is we like to say probably a better situation for most players, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You saw what Aaron Jones did last year when he was healthy. And Jacobs doesn't have this injury track record either. Yeah. So, and possibly Lamb, depending on draft position. Bagger says I would take Jacobs over every round running back receiver, he says, except for Hill. And he said maybe Lamb. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I might take I think I would take Jefferson. You know, my order is Jefferson, Lamb, Hill. Like that's my.
Oh, really? Okay.
In standard, I want to go. Yeah, Jefferson, Lamb, Hill, and I think I'm taking all those guys over Jacobs, and then Jacobs.
Okay, interesting. So. Okay, I have Hill number 1 in my rankings for receivers. So. I think that I really think that Miami team is going to have so many shootouts this year, just that because that defense is so bad. It's going to be so different than last year because last year they got out to a big lead and they just sat on the ball, just ran the ball in the second half because they had a good defense. But like this year, their defense is going to be horrible, at least until their pass rushers come back from injury. So I really do think that 49-42 is possible for week 1. I've been talking about that a lot, like Jacksonville Miami game. We didn't go over DraftKings yet, which we will do ahead of week 1. But I am stacking. I'm going to stack that game. It's going to be either Lawrence with Kirk and Ingram or Tua with Hill and run it back with one of the Jacksonville players, maybe Kirk probably. So that's where I'm going to go. Bagley says Jefferson would be on that list if he had a better quarterback, but he's a cut below the other two. Yeah, I mean, but Jefferson proved that he could. He produced with Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's as good as it gets.
Yeah. And John says, I love Jefferson. Great receivers aren't QB dependent. That's absolutely true. Yeah. Anything else here before we head out? Any final thoughts or thoughts on anything else?
I love doing mock drafts. I feel like I learn every time. I feel like I realize my own flaws and thoughts, and it's always helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely recommend doing a lot of these. So yeah, we'll be doing another mock draft tomorrow. Again, special guest. It's not Trump or Antonio Brown. Unfortunately, that'd be great to have them on, but I don't see them doing mock drafts on WalterFootball.com.
I want them on together.
That'd be great. That'd be amazing.
That would be the most entertaining show ever of any kind.
I know. I said this before. I think I was with Tom. I said or maybe I was with you. I said if I was running a football network or a sports network, and I was hiring people for a football pregame show or whatever, I would hire Emma Smith and Antonio Brown as my my analysts. I think you'd cover everything at that point. But anyway, Colin Harris would just steal my draft strategy. Love it. Yeah, like. I'm gonna negate taxes on tips, so you could just do that now if you want. and like just forget that you were you supported the 87,000 new IRS agents.
Gotta help us.
I know. Yeah. I'm gonna strengthen the border, even though I was the border czar for 3.5 years.
And she was never declared a border czar, Walter. CNN told me that you're wrong.
They did. This like Axios called her border czar, and then Axios is like she was never border czar. And it's like when people pulled up the old article where they called her border czar.
You're like, guys, the internet doesn't lie. Like, what do you like?
Yeah. Trump could have also done that as president. No, well, he did drop taxes, but I don't know if that was on his radar. But you know. I mean, he's had 4 years or 3.5 years to mull over, mistakes he made during his term. And there were mistakes. There's mistakes with everyone, but
let's be honest. Donald Trump has only mulled over one thing the last 4 years, and that is when he gets back in the office, the list of people he's gonna go after and get retribution.
I can't wait. I hope that happens. I love retribution.
That's what he's been thinking about for 4 years.
That's true. Legitimately so. Chris says she already stole the late wrestler Kamala's name, both first and last, as well as his gimmick. Fair. And then John says Biden really didn't call her border czar, but she was the border czar. Yeah, I mean that's what the like Axios called her that, and then like they were the ones who called her that, and then they said no one called her border czar, and then the people pulled up that old article. So that was it's very interesting. And Chris says, isn't it nice? Trump's political career basically started because he was fixated with finding Obama's birth certificate. Yeah, I think it wasn't that. I think it was because Obama made fun of him at the White House dinner. And I think he just wanted to show him up and be president.
That was the moment. Like, I'm 100% convinced that was the moment that Trump decided he was going to run for president, and his entire goal was to dismantle everything Obama accomplished.
I know.
She like 98% kind of did.
Yeah, I know.
With the exception of Obamacare, any meaningful act that Obama did, well, I guess Supreme Court justices too, but other than Obamacare, every meaningful thing that Obama did, Trump was able to reverse and undo and undermine significantly throughout his work. I'm so glad we live with like this. Like, what a time to be alive! Like, what a time. It's so great.
It is fantastic. All right, so we'll be back tomorrow with another fantasy mock draft, and Thursday we'll have a show on Friday in some manner. I don't know if it's gonna be with Tom or another fantasy draft because there are no games on Friday. It's a weird schedule this week of preseason. I don't know if you saw it. There's one game on Thursday, which is the Eagles game. There's no games on Friday, and there are 13 games on Saturday. So that's going to be absolutely brutal for me. I love watching preseason, but 13 games is gonna be pretty rough. So I'll probably be like dying by the end of the day. So I don't know. It'll be fun to like learn stuff. Chris says really amazing vendetta when you think about it from purely non-objective view. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us in this draft and watching and commenting. I really appreciate it, especially to John Sanders for the 222 and Sloot for the 223. Thank you guys so much once again. That
was so great. How petty to beat them by a penny. I love it.
I know. It's amazing. Guys, thank you so much. It just really means a lot that you guys keep the show going. So, Kenny, anything to plug here? Maybe your website here, thecapsfake.com.
Thecapsfake.com. I've got lots of articles, nothing new. I am working on fantasy content. I'm going to launch a fantasy section. I'm going to try to get once I get my rankings in order. I'm not as organized as WalterFootball.com, but I don't have a staff, a team, great guys like Charlie Campbell. I don't have a crew of guys. Chet, I don't know who else you have over there, but
Dennis, who does a lot of work behind the scenes. I should have Dennis on the show. I don't think he does fantasy drafts, but I should have him on the show because he was my roommate in college, and now he's my developer. And what we used to do we used to have a lunch every Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember what day it was. I think it was it had to have been Tuesday. So when we were roommates, we had lunch every Tuesday, and he would try to guess my top 10 power rankings because I would publish them on Tuesday. And that was always a lot of fun. So I'll try to have him on if he wants. I don't know if he wants to come on, but
that's fun.
If he wants to. Yeah. So yeah, he's very knowledgeable of football. He's a big Eagles fan. So you guys have that in common. So all right, guys, gonna head out. Have a great night, and we'll be back tomorrow. So talk to you then.
You the man, Walt.
You the man.